Welcome to the NewsHour. President Trump today advanced his plans to make it easier to fire tens of thousands of federal workers. On social media, he said he would move forward with a rule previously known as Schedule F, which the administration said, quote, will allow agencies to quickly remove employees from critical positions who engage in misconduct, perform poorly, or undermine the democratic process by intentionally subverting presidential directives. Our White House correspondent, Laura Barone-Lopez, joins us now with the latest. Laura, President Trump promised that he would do this. So what does this do, and how many workers would this affect?
So Schedule F changes the job classification of nonpartisan federal workers, designating them as political appointees. And so bottom line, it makes it easier for the president to fire anyone that he considers disloyal and replace them with complete loyalists to his cause and to his agenda. Now, Schedule F was a part of the Project 2025 blueprint from the Heritage Foundation, and OMB Director Russ Vought was key in drafting this during the first administration, but they were not able to implement it during the first administration. And Russ Vought said throughout the campaign that they wanted to traumatize federal workers. And the White House estimates that this will impact some 50,000 federal workers that could be laid off. But government experts say that that's probably a minimum.
So what happens next? And has there been, I imagine, pushback to this?
There has been pushback. But so first, what happens is a White House official said that agencies have until April 20th to hand them the lists of who they think should be reclassified in their agencies. But Everett Kelly, the president of the American Federation of Government Employees, said that this is another in a series of deliberate moves by this administration to corrupt the federal government and replace qualified public servants with political cronies. AFG says that they are going to sue the administration, and they're the largest union representing federal workers.
So this is part of a much bigger picture of Trump's war with the federal government.
It is. And so this all comes as President Trump and Elon Musk's team have instituted firings across the board. Yesterday, the Trump administration moved to fire some 1,500 employees at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That's most of the agency, William. And today, a federal judge paused those firings, calling it deeply concerning and that the firings violated an earlier injunction. Now, based on our reporting as well as the New York Times analysis, when you zoom out, essentially, there are more than 132,000 workers that have either been fired or pressured to take buyouts since Trump has taken office. We spoke to Don Moynihan, a public policy professor at University of Michigan, who said that this essentially defeats the purpose, this Schedule F, of a nonpartisan civil service. He said that in the end goal, this is about imposing loyalty tests, and that targeting bureaucracy in this way is a hallmark trait of authoritarian regimes. Practically, it could also mean that there's some favoritism that is instituted when it comes to who gets government contracts.
Laura Barone-Lopez, as always, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We lose our job, we walk the street all fucking night. How you gonna come home and tell a black woman you ain't got no money? You trying to think of a lie.
How do you navigate losing a job? That question has been on the minds of tens of thousands of federal employees as the Trump administration continues to terminate workers. A financial cushion helps, of course, but research shows that other factors can also determine how well someone weathers a job loss. NPR's Katia Riddle has more.
One of the most difficult things about losing a job, especially a job that you love, is that it becomes part of your identity. Like for this man, John, who worked for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention as a program analyst, he remembers taking an oath there on his first day.
You stand up and put your hand over your heart and you take the same oath that elected officials take to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. It was just one of the proudest moments of my life.
John is 39. He was cut from the CDC a few weeks ago. Since then, some of his colleagues that were also fired were doxxed, and he's worried about that happening to him. That's why he asked to use only his first name. John upheld his oath at the CDC for 14 years. He was awarded Employee of the Month for the entire agency at one point. Now he's wondering who he is.
I want to be a public servant. I want to help people. It's a part of me.
Some who study the impact of job loss say people need to process this kind of grief. If not, they may struggle to move forward. Jeffrey Anvari Clark is a professor of social work at the University of North Dakota. He's looked at identity issues around job loss in his research.
People didn't know how to handle that, and that's what made it perhaps an even bigger catastrophe than just simply having a reduction in income.
Anvari Clark has done research that shows that job loss can compromise physical and mental health. He says in addition to identity loss, the way people think about their finances can have an even greater impact than their actual financial situation.
And particularly when we start getting into money disorders, that it actually doesn't matter how much money you have, it's how you feel about it. And so you can have people who are billionaires and who still feel like, I don't have enough.
People who can avoid these snags are less likely to get bogged down in despair, he says. But the difference between theory and practice on this directive can be vast. John, for example, is disabled. He's struggling not to be despondent over his finances.
I've always had to plan to have more in retirement than the normal person because I'm going to need specialized care. And the cost of that care is probably only going to go up.
When he was a teenager, he had an accident that left him paralyzed. He says what he would receive on disability would not be enough.
The absolute worst case scenario for me is ending up in a nursing home under the age of 40.
But he has been keeping himself busy working on a public health AI project. He says that's helping.
That's really given me a lot of energy and kind of kept me going.
This is exactly the kind of thing experts like Anvari Clark advise people to do. Even if it's not paid work, it brings connection, a sense of purpose. And John says if there's one thing his disability has given him, it's tenacity.
I had to relearn how to do everything again after my injury. You get really good at problem solving.
Losing his job, he says, is one of the single biggest problems he's ever had to solve. Katie Riddle, NPR News.
Get on a train, same thing. Where's the colored section? Don't you know, boy? Go to the last car. The last car is a half a mile down the track. Go to the last car if you want to ride the train. You got 2 minutes to see if you can do a Jesse Owens down there, because we're leaving.
Wow.
You and your grandmother, too, and she's on crutches.
Wow.
She better learn how to run like Jesse.
Who is also a victim of white supremacy.
Absolutely. Hitler said that. Call him an animal. When Jesse Owens ran around that track and beat everybody doing it, Hitler said, "Hey, that's not even in the rules." So you matching, a person with an animal.
Wow.
Yeah, if you put a horse out there, I mean, you expect a horse to run faster, right? But a horse is a horse, and a nigger is the same as a horse. You ride him and beat him.
Horse racing season is here. The fastest horses at some of America's most popular races are supported by dozens of workers. They spend every day grooming, walking, raising the horses to be winners. Well, many of those workers are immigrants. As the 2025 horse racing season ramps up, employers who hire them on visas are watching to see what the Trump administration's stricter immigration policy may mean for them. Here's NPR's Jimena Bustillo with more.
Racehorse trainers gather around the track at Laurel Park in Maryland. 6 horses are led into the green metal gates, and then they are literally off to the races, galloping around the mile-long sandy track in barely a minute. It's an exciting moment as the first muddy horse pushes across the finish line. The jockey, also caked in mud, breathes easy, knowing that he has won the big prize. It's not an easy journey getting a horse to the track, and trainers say that work depends on immigrants.
Everyone is an immigrant. I think we rely 100% on immigrants.
That is Diana Piñones. She says H-2B visas, which are for non-agricultural seasonal labor, are needed to find workers to groom, walk, and raise the horses. She's the executive assistant at Laurel Park, and she helps the migrant workers settle in.
I treat them like family, and they do the same thing. They treat me like family. It's a big family.
Family. It's a common theme in the horse racing world. Those in the industry say that it is made possible by the generations of individual families who come to the U.S. on H-2B visas year after year. Piñones said, like many others, her family came to the U.S. from Michoacán.
Mi mamá y mi papá se han dedicado a este trabajo toda su vida.
My mom and dad dedicated themselves to this work all their lives. As a child, I would come here. That's how I got into this work.
Así fue como llegué a este trabajo.
Mexico is the top country for H-2B visa holders, followed by Jamaica, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. The visas are used by employers when they can't find anyone domestically to do the work. H-2B visas have an annual cap of 66,000, a cap already reached this year, and employers are taking note.
They can look and see that the border is much tighter than it was before, and that affects both legal and illegal workers coming across the border.
That's Lyndon Melmed of BAL, an immigration law firm.
What we hear is that they are certainly looking at those visa categories as a way to say we need to secure a consistent workforce because we're not really sure how these immigration enforcement trends are going to affect current employees and future employees.
The trainers at Laurel Park are set for this year, but Piñones said that there's already uncertainty about visa availability for next year.
We still don't see it because everybody who had a visa hadn't come here in October, November, so we still don't see it, but eventually it will hurt the industry.
That fear is felt across the board.
Hello, girl.
Ferris Allen has been a racehorse trainer for 27 years. He stands by a white picket fence, cheering on, taking notes, and checking his watch as one of his horses, a glossy brown one with a number 6 tag, races through the finish.
We finished 4th.
As he waits for another one of his horses, named Who Says So, to run, he tells me the visa process is very complex.
Oftentimes it's very daunting to skate through all of this stuff.
And he has also heard concerns from his workers.
The workers that I have are all within legal status, but that doesn't mean everyone they associate with here is. So they're worried for their friends and for some of their relatives, and they're also worried that if they go home, will they be able to come back?
Allen calls these workers essential. Without them, his own family business wouldn't continue. He and others in the industry are cautiously hopeful they will be able to bring in more workers to help them race next season. Jimena Bustillo, NPR News, Washington.
A terrible thing to waste. Environmental racism and its assault on the American mind. Written by Harriet A. Washington.
For 3 decades, EPA offices were established nationwide to address the disproportionately high levels of pollution in poor and minority communities. Now, the Trump administration is eliminating these environmental justice offices as part of its effort to end DEI programs and to cut what it sees as wasteful spending. Ali Rogan recently spoke with Amdalata Jassa, who covers environmental health for The Washington Post.
Amdalat, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, let's talk about the history of the environmental justice movement and how did it become a part of what the EPA does?
Yeah, the history of the environmental justice movement really recognizes the fact that everybody deserves access to clean air, water, and the land that they live on, right? And that was really introduced into the government over 30 years ago by Bill Clinton. He recognized the fact that these inequities needed to be addressed at the government level because it wasn't happening elsewhere. It developed 30 years ago, but folks really felt like their voices were heard under the Biden administration, although some of them felt like the administration didn't go far enough in the legislation that they did pass to make sure that they had cleaner air and water. They felt like for the first time, the risks that they face were really acknowledged.
What are some specific examples of environmental justice policies at work and the types of problems that this office set out to address?
Some of the policies at work really limited the amount of pollution that industry would be able to pump into the air, the soot that would be allowed to linger in the air, other specific chemicals that they really went after, benzene and other things that for folks who live in Cancer Alley, that's a day-to-day reality for them.
And tell us about Cancer Alley. What is that?
Yeah, Cancer Alley is an 85-mile stretch in Louisiana that is full of industry that is pumping a lot of air pollutants. And these communities on the front line, the name is dubbed Cancer Alley because for them, cancer is a reality. Cancer, it's either somebody close to them that has cancer, somebody in their family, or they know people in their community. So they have these hot pockets of not just cancer, but other health ailments that the normal American wouldn't be dealing with. But because they're exposed to so many chemicals on a day-to-day basis, that's their reality.
I want to play for you. We spoke to a former EPA environmental justice employee. He now works at the Natural Resources Defense Council. Here's how he explained how he worked with community members he was serving.
We had a tribal community that was sure that the drinking water that they used for their families and for their animals was contaminated with radioactive toxic elements in it. We worked with them to make sure that we were hearing what was going on with this community. We provided them with technical assistance and eventually a grant that supported that community in actually testing their own drinking water for levels of radioactivity. And sure enough, their water was radioactive.
So how are these communities reacting to these offices now being closed?
These communities are devastated. These communities are gutted. I mean, the Environmental Justice Office really served as a liaison for the community and the government. They were on the front lines in many instances in these regions, really connecting with people and understanding what their local challenges were, considering, like he talked about, water contamination, air contamination, wanting to have electric school buses and solar panels. So they really understood what was happening on the front lines, and they were the voice for those communities and the government. So to have that office be completely gutted, for many of them makes them feel like a lot of that relationship is now being cut. And it's a true unraveling of not only what the Biden administration worked to do, but the 30 years of environmental justice work that has been happening in this country.
I want to read for you a statement from EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. He says that environmental justice sounds like a good idea in theory and receives bipartisan support, but in reality, environmental justice has been used primarily as an excuse to fund left-wing activists instead of actually spending those dollars to directly remediate environmental issues for those communities. What do you make of that?
These offices weren't just helping specific DEI communities or, leftist woke communities, but they were helping everybody. I went to Cancer Alley for a story that I worked on, and I was amazed but also shocked by the flares that would go off that kind of lit up the sky it almost looked like fireworks in a weird way. And the smells that I smell, I got a headache being in those communities for almost an hour of just driving. And that's what people's experiences were every day. It leaves a lot of people who live on the front lines of these communities abandoned, and it means that for the future that they might be sicker. It means that they have a sicker future. It means that they don't have as much clean air as they were starting to develop. It means that their water could be contaminated, and there's really nobody there to help them.
I'm Delata Jassa with the Washington Post. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Why haven't you learned anything?
I'm John Hood, your Virginia Beach neighborhood reporter outside the school administration office, where Tuesday night, more than 100 people were signed up to speak at Tuesday's school board meeting. It was the first meeting since a resolution passed earlier this month suspending diversity, equity, and inclusion policies in Virginia Beach public schools. Now, at that time, there was no public hearing, but Tuesday night, both sides of the aisle on the topic had their voices heard.
In my mind, that repealing DEI is meant to help one group and one group only, and that's people like me. I don't want or need your help.
Students and parents expressing their thoughts on a school board resolution to suspend DEI policies. The April 8th decision came after President Donald Trump's administration earlier this year threatened to take away federal funding from schools with DEI policies. For Virginia Beach public schools, that would be around $74 million. Dollars those in favor of the resolution feel is needed.
Simple division, $74 million divided by the population of this city works out to $644 for a family of four.
Ahead of public commenting, we did hear a presentation on the work Superintendent Dr. Donald Robertson has done so far. This includes meeting with staff on renaming the Department of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion to the Office of Achievement and Opportunity. The equity dashboard and plan has also been disabled on the school division's website as it's under review. We also learned that certain programs like Tide Coalition and Beach Girls Rock aren't impacted. However, other programs such as the African American Male Summit are still under review.
Again, we're just reviewing whether or not there needs to be an adjustment of the name but that discussion has a lot of time to develop because the next one's in January.
Many school leaders argued this resolution was passed before an April 24th deadline and did not give the public a chance to comment.
We've seen no legal rulings, no urgent mandates. So I ask, why the rush? Where is the evidence that this resolution improves students' outcome?
Dr. Robertson did answer to the board that if the board waited longer and with spring break, it would not have been enough time for staff to overview policies.
Waiting until April 22nd was not going to provide the administration time to do the due diligence for me to feel comfortable, which I will be comfortable tomorrow when I sign off on this document and submit it to the state.
We also heard as of Tuesday evening, no extracurricular activities have stopped due to this resolution. In Virginia Beach, I'm John Hood, WTKR News 3.
No matter where I'm at, I got crack. I got crenag, yeah, I got crenag. Got that crenag, yeah, I got crenag. Started from the trap, now I rap. Yeah. No matter where I'm at, I got crack. All I talk is crack, I can get the rick out.
I want to talk about freedom of speech. It's a pet subject of mine now, and I often think freedom of speech is under attack. In fact, weirdly, I was talking to Nigel Farage yesterday about this, saying that even in the pub, which is basically the people's parliament, where you go and sit down and have a pint and you talk about what's on your mind, even that seems to be under threat, because you've got people earwigging and then saying you don't like what you're saying. Well, if you don't allow people to express their views, then it will drive views underground, and then you end up in a very dysfunctional and dystopian society. Now, this is an article based on an employment judge's ruling. Asking a black person, what are you smoking, is racist, according to an employment tribunal. This is the employment judge, Rachel Weatherspoon, said any reasonable person would be offended by the remark, excuse me, due to the stereotypical view of a black person with dreadlocks smoking drugs. What? Her ruling came in the case of Gemma Spencer, a black administrator who sued her employers for race discrimination and harassment after she was dismissed. The admin worker told a panel she had her hair in braids when director Mark Kelly asked her line manager if she'd been smoking something after they perceived she had made an error at work. She then accused him of racism. He then said in no way meant to make some remark about her being a Rastafarian. Bosses said she was being hypersensitive, had warped the impact the phrase had on her. That was rejected by the judge, Judge Weatherspoon, excuse me, who said the comment was unwanted conduct which violated the dignity of Miss Spencer, who was awarded, wait for this, $35,109 in compensation. Joining me now is Will Jones, editor of the Daily Skeptic. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, David.
What are you thinking about? This seems extraordinary to me.
Yeah, it's completely extraordinary. The first thing we've got to say is it is completely absurd to claim that asking a black person, what are you smoking, is racist. Completely absurd. Everybody knows, any reasonable person knows, as the judge might say but didn't say, any reasonable person knows that it's a common vernacular phrase. It means you've made a silly mistake. Yes. You've made a basic error of judgment. It's got no race connotations whatsoever, and the very idea that it is should never have got that far, and it should certainly not have been agreed to that stereotype by the judge. In fact, we might say that that stereotype that the judge is appealing to there, the judge is herself appealing to that, invoking that stereotype in order to draw that conclusion. And as the defendant said, that stereotype was in no way in his mind at the time, but clearly it was in the judge's mind. So that's the first thing to say. The second thing to say is that doesn't this make a complete nonsense of Labour's claim that their employment rights bill is not going to create a banter ban. They've claimed that this clause 20 of the employment rights bill is not going to create a banter ban in pubs and in hospitality venues, in restaurants, because they say that no, we're not going to enforce this idea of of staff being harassed by overhearing people's private conversations. No, you'll still be allowed to do that. That's what they claim. But doesn't this just show this Employment Rights Tribunal that under employment law, many judges, this one is not untypical unfortunately, will consider such trivialities as saying, "What are you smoking?" to constitute racial discrimination and award extraordinary sums of compensation for these throwaway phrases? And doesn't that just show that that's how these harassment laws are already being interpreted, and that we can expect more of the same under Labour's banter ban, which we need to be reminded, of course. The Labour minister Lillian Greenwood was on the radio just this week defending, saying, she's again said, "Oh no, don't worry, you'll still be able to have your private conversations," she said, "but as long as," and here's the clincher, "as long as people aren't made to feel unsafe by your private conversations." Oh, well, thank you very much, Lillian. That's also awfully kind of you to allow us to have our private conversations in pubs.
The whole thing is absolutely extraordinary. I mean, certainly we work in a very close team here. I am known to say things that might be slightly outrageous, but it's done in tone. There's tonality behind it, because the whole point is that actually you use joking and expressions. It's part of common parlance, and actually, in many senses, it brings the team together.
Absolutely. Banter plays a really important role. Humour and all this and joking around plays a really important role in personal relations. But you sometimes think that the people who write these rules, these DEI speech codes that have come to tyrannise workplaces across the country with hyperactive HR departments, that they seem to be written by people who have no understanding of human relationships and human conversation and just how people get along with each other, and instead just seek to bring identity politics and all these protected characteristics and all this discrimination and harassment laws, and just to really lay them on thick and just completely smother all human humour and interaction and relationships, and just completely poison workplaces. And now Labour is intent on bringing that poison into what is one of the last bastions of free speech, pubs and hospitality venues.
Do you think there's an age gap here? Because it strikes me that people who are older, like me, we've grown up getting used to that kind of banter and camaraderie and all that. And actually with younger people, you do have to be a bit careful sometimes, because they will look at you strangely and think that you're actually being literal in what you're saying. But then equally, culturally, they need to understand that, because otherwise they don't get very far in the workplace.
Absolutely, but of course the last 5 years, many of them have not been going into the workplace. Part of the problem after the pandemic. Too many of them have not been going in and experiencing real workplaces. They've gone straight from educational settings to unemployment or working from home. But I do think young people are their own worst enemy here, because actually young people are often the first to use banter, to use back and forth humour, to speak first and think later. You know, we've all been young, and we all remember what that's like. But there's now this very, very strong, driven I think by social media to a large extent, this very, very strong, censorious, authoritarian streak where they just seem to delight and relish in spotting people's infractions of very precise speech codes, woke speech codes, and coming down as hard as they can. I think to some extent that's the kind of that ganging up and that mob mentality that people have, and I think it makes people feel powerful that they can all gang up together on Twitter or X. On social media and take people down, and it helps them to feel powerful. But they're their own worst enemy, because young people like to have banter and humour as much as the rest of us. But they do seem to be completely obsessed, many of them, too many of them, with trying to take people down for these for wrongthink.
I think you're absolutely right about the fact that many of these young people didn't go to work, they was left at home, but also in universities. I'm deeply worried about the lack of freedom of speech. The fact is you can't actually say what you think anymore. I mean, I went to a rugby-playing medical school. People were pretty vociferous about what they thought back then. It moves us to this other article this morning. A philosopher opposed to mass migration has been banned from entering Britain. I mean, this is absolutely bonkers. He's a French novelist. He's an award-winning, as far as I can understand, and very, very prolific novelist, Renaud Camus. He was barred from travelling to the UK because he wants to talk about immigration, the pace of immigration change in this country across Europe. He says unchecked immigration will lead to demographic replacement of Europe's indigenous populations. I think pretty much all of us would agree with that. The Home Office, oh no, you can't come in. We'll let everyone else in, but you can't come in because we're not going to give you an ETA, the electronic travel authorisation. Your presence in the UK is not considered to be conducive to the public good. This is at the same time we're seeing pro-Palestinian marches, we're seeing the rise of Islamist radicals. I mean, this is utterly nuts.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? Think of all the people that we don't want coming into this country with extreme views, violent views, the terrorists and criminals that are coming in under the radar on the boats, coming into this country, and then we try and get rid of them and try and deport them. And there's this string of cases that the newspapers are reporting on at the moment of showing us how tribunals are using human rights law, abusing human rights law, judges, activist judges, who are preventing deportation of very unsavoury and unwelcome characters from this country because of their criminal behaviour and extreme violent views. And yet here we have a prolific French philosopher who takes a particular line on immigration and says that. And says that immigration into Europe is going too fast, and that needs to be looked at. A sentiment very widely shared, as we know, and yet here we have the Home Office telling him that he's not welcome in England. I mean, this is free speech again. I mean, wherever someone stands on those issues, we should believe in free speech as Western liberal democracies, that we believe that we need to hear people's viewpoints. If people are wrong, then they need to be heard, and then other people can explain why they think they're wrong. Or if they're right, then it needs to be heard as well. But we need to hear views, not suppress them and censor them, especially views that will resonate with large numbers of the public. And of course, but this is part of a major trend, as the US, the new Trump administration, has been pointing out across Europe. It's almost always the right or conservative viewpoints that are being suppressed. We've even seen elections being cancelled by activist judiciary. We've had Marine Le Pen being excluded on what seems like a relative triviality, something that everyone seems to do in the European Parliament, but on this technicality, being excluded, the front runner, the lead opposition, a politician being excluded from the French election. I mean, these are extraordinary times, and it's always one way, isn't it? It's always the right so-called populism, and that's because they're afraid. I think the ruling class is afraid of the fact that there is a large groundswell of opposition to their policies they've been pursuing for the last several decades, particularly around immigration, and they want to suppress it.
Being suppressed? White man say, before we proceed, Neutralizing Workplace Racism, which airs every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, frequently there will be an overrepresentation of neutralizing or racism in the workplace, specifically or isolated to the U.S. If folks find reports, audio, video, news reports that is current, you don't necessarily, I mean, not that it's incorrect, but I prefer things that are current, so we don't even get started with anybody talking about, we've made so much progress, and yeah, I'm sure they called, black people niggers and coons and gollywogs and all the rest of it way back in the 1700s or 1970s or whatever, old times. But now, middle of 2025, they don't do that now. We came a long way. Refute all that. So we want like current. So if there are, for sure, non-white listeners in other parts of the world, if you can find reports, share your own incidents, that would be grand. And or just folks in general, if you find news reports about workplace racism from places beyond the U.S., that would be great. White supremacy racism is a global problem that should be reflected in labor as well. I will say, generally, or in fact, retract, it's not generally. I never search for material with regards to racism and labor with any sort of geographic specifications. I just look for, racism in the workplace and see what pops up. And it just, lots of material related to the U.S. will come through. That report was from the UK. I know we've had reports on before from Canada and other regions, but this is a massive problem all over the world. I had a big segment that was about workplace racism against black people specifically in Brazil. This was archival, but I found it while we were learning about that region. But it was so detailed in talking about all the different ways that they go to not hire black people. And they do all that nonsense, talking about, whoa, we don't have no black people in Brazil. We don't have no color in Brazil. We all in this together in Brazil. Please, not when it's time to employment and get on this here application. Like, oh, no, it ain't no. We do have racial classifications in Brazil, and it's the same thing. Black get back. First fired, last hired. All that applies, even south of the equator. But that would be a request. If folks can find material, news reports about racism in labor, specifically in geographic areas beyond the U.S. or beyond the earth, that would be great. Today's date, Thursday, April 24, 2025. So I have been told. Our weekly summit on neutralizing workplace racism. Not for spectators. If you have figured out, say this. Don't say this. Say this if you want to get the interview. Say this if you want to get the raise. When they come and ask, are you going to come and participate in the spring jamboree? We're going out to the park and we're going to do barbecue and all that. Say this. If you don't want to participate and without penalty, so they're not looking at you sideways for the rest of the year, and they bring that up when it's time for a promotion and all that. Nope. You don't want to go. You don't have to, and it's not a problem. If you figured out any strategies that would be helpful in those types of scenarios or others, help non-white people solve problems in the workplace, let us know. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Number again 605-313-5164. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. We'll hopefully have constructive tidbits to share. Certainly, if you, as usual, if you have difficulties and are trying to figure out what to do, solve problems without creating new problems in the workplace, stress, strife with other non-white coworkers, whatever it happens to be, let us know. We'll see if we can use logic to help solve problems in the workplace. Few things, address some of the audio segments, and then we'll get our emails and callers as well. With regards to the audio segments that we started with, number one, had the report from NPR. They were talking about President Trump making changes so that using words to reclassify federal employees to make it easier to fire them. We're almost May, basically, so kind of halfway through 2025, and it does not look like there's any sign of, we are all done and we have got the federal government right and efficient and everything. So, we got kind of trimmed the fat, as it will, metaphor. Nah, we still rolling. More cuts to come. All the same thing that we've been saying about all that confusion where you can have people for 6 months, and it might be longer than that. It might be his whole, 4 years of his term. Well, we still making cuts, having people nervous. Are we going to be fired? They even said in that clip, with these changes, it might be the sort of environment where you get punished for not being loyal to whoever is currently been selected to be in the White House, which is kind of what we have anyway. They talk about all the nepotism and cronyism in politics and labor. That's kind of already what we have anyway, but just to have more of that, more of the same. Again, and if you are a federal employee or whatever type of job that you have, again, that's why you just can't get, even if it's a job that you love, you just cannot be in that sort of thinking. Because, they're letting you know we're trying to make it easier to get you on out of the door. I don't get comfortable. No matter how much, coin I got in the bank, no matter how big my office is, how many secretaries I got, if they lease me a vehicle, whatever it is, hey, I could be out of here in 5 minutes with no warning, nothing. They don't even tell you. Don't even let you, get your goodies. We'll box it up and ship it to you in a day. Don't come back on the premises. You're not needed. Like, dang. Hey, system of white supremacy racism. And that was right with the report where they talked about what to do if you get fired. And then they went and talked to a federal employee, got let go from the CDC, John. I don't know if that was a white person or a non-white person. That was audio report. But they did let a lot of dark people go from the CDC facility in Atlanta, Georgia. So might not have been John, maybe, who knows. Anyway, but he talked about how proud he was the first day at the CDC, and they took the oath and pledge, support and defend the Constitution and do it Neely Fuller style, and he was ready to shed a tear, and I'm feeling so patriotic. And now you get your flag, snake plant, and get on out of here. Services no longer needed. Don't let me catch you hanging out on the premises either. Beat it. Hey, even if it's a job that you like, and even you could be really competent at your job, that does not mean anything, and particularly in the system of white supremacy racism. Beat it. And that's something I think is super important to remember for yourself first and foremost, and then to share with your children, because it cannot be, really, some of this goes back, big word they said in that report, identity. What is your identity? And they said for a lot of people, their job is their identity. So if I've been a CDC employee and I go out and got my badge on, it's, oh, wow, you got that big government job. You work at the CDC. Or even like Neely Fuller Jr. Hey, Abraham Bolden, they work for the same government job, federal employees, Bureau of Printing and Engraving. And they're going to say, hey, that's old Bolden. I seen him in the paper, this first Negro Secret Service boy. It might have been saying the same thing about Fuller. Like, man, he got down Bureau of Engraving, came all the way from Oklahoma. Look, that Fuller boy. And you get fired. Fuller didn't. He worked there for 30 years, retired. But I'm just saying. And you get fired. The shame and humor. I said it about you niggers. I know you ran there messing with the white women, weren't you? I know you was over there flirting with the white secretaries. That's what you're doing. Or whatever. I mean, even if it's everybody is supportive and empathetic and feels bad for you, brings you some vegan banana pudding to help you feel better, that doesn't make it a whole lot better. I'm still fired. Walk of shame with my cardboard box. And they say, what's my identity? I used to be the first Negro Secret Service agent. I was the Negro down at Bureau of Engraving. They pull out dollars and shake it. That's full of, he printing out our money down there. There you go. Now I'm just, No. Your identity on the plantation is victim of white supremacy, and we're so resistant to that. But that solve a whole lot of this. Like, hey, and they said in the report, it doesn't matter how many zeros you have. Absolutely right. Billionaire, trillionaire, zeroaire, whatever. If you are classified as non-white, your identity is victim of white supremacy. And as such, I could be fired in the next 5 minutes. Easily, regardless of I'm competent, I did my job well, I brought in a whole lot of new contracts and all the rest of it. They said Abraham Bolden did his job pretty well. Beat it. In fact, did his job too well. Around here talking about we unprofessional and drinking on the job or whatever. If you'd had some Jack Daniels, maybe this wouldn't have been no problem. You passed the Cavassier, maybe it wouldn't have been no problem. Your identity. And they told him that too. They said, what's your identity, Bolden? Negro. And don't you forget, that's exactly what they told Bolden. They said, what's your identity? His white co-worker made it explicit too. He said, come here. You know what you is? A Negro. And don't forget it. We'll remind you if you forget it. Buddy, that's when you do not want that reminder. Where you forgotten and you thought my identity, I'm a CDC employee. I'm an airline pilot. I'm president of the United States or whatever. Nah, man, you is a nigger. And white people can show you better than I can tell you. Man, you do not want to be blindsided, metaphor, in the workplace by that one. And that's why I said talk to your children about that on a regular basis so that they know, regardless of how great this job is and how big my check is and how proud everybody, hey, white people can take all this back in 5 minutes, even if you didn't do anything wrong. And maybe especially if you're good at your job. We love it. Let's see. They did say if you get fired in terms of being constructive, I think that's important too, where you don't just sit around and eat ice cream and watch TV, do things that are constructive. I have seen where just being involved with things that were constructive helped get that person the next job, because as opposed to just sitting at home watching TV, they were doing things that were constructive, met some other people who were doing things constructive. Oh, we know about jobs because we're doing constructive things. I have seen that happen before too. Do something constructive just means you'll have more time and energy. Try to use that time and energy constructively as you are transitioning to your next place of employment. Let's see. They had the man. So they were talking about, I guess, the Kentucky Derby and all that stuff is coming up. Man, they don't hire the niggers to do the horse grooming, even though they used to. They get overseas niggers now. But they had the segment, they said, man, Trump is messing everything up. He getting all hard on the immigrant programs and the visa programs and saying he don't want these dark people to come in. And said, man, we need the folks to come and take care of our horses. We got a family. They kept using that word. That's so tacky, I thought. The report where we're talking about horses. Now we get familial. Is the horse part of the family too? Come on, man. And then even too, how much do these migrants that you miss so much, and we got the boohoo and all Trump, come on, can you get them over and make an exception? Don't you like the Kentucky Derby, man? And come on, the Preakness, all of it, man. How much do these jockeys, probably non-white folks or groomers, these aren't the jockeys, the groomer, how much do these folks get paid? And hey, we all family. Where do their living quarters look like and everything? So since we all family, Come on. Come on. Everything about that is, as a matter of fact, back up, man. Gus T. Renegade. How many years you been a vegan? I don't even know. I'd have to get my fingers out and count, but it's well over 7 consecutive at this point. Ain't nary a pork chop been in this refrigerator. Side of beef, lamb chop, salmon. I don't lean on my fish brothers either. Plus, white people dump all that DDT in the water and everything anyway, so. But I mean, for real, I don't even eat no chicken or none of that. So I mean, I'm going to jump on top of a horse and give it some cute name. Who says so? And then get a non-white person to groom it and everything. We're going to hop on him and beat him and beat him. We can win the Kentucky. Are you serious? We just got slave pastimes that we just drag on things we've been doing to practice racism and brag and show off our royalist culture for about, 200 years? More than that, maybe? Come on, man. I've been saying this for years. Man, where are the white PETA people at? It should be an embarrassment. Like, we're riding and beating horses for entertainment in 2025? You could just go and throw rotten eggs at Bron James, Giannis. Are they playing right now? You got to beat a horse? Come on. Let's see. Cancer Alley. They're shutting the EPA down. Now, that clip I could have played for the compensatory call-in on Saturday, but I just went with today. Take your pick. But they're shutting down the EPA offices. So we're not doing this. The new focus of the EPA should be energy dominance. We're talking about no cleaning air and lead, and nobody care about no Freddie Gray. Freddie Gray probably had brain problems. Anyway, better off without him, too, out here raping white women and terrorizing the neighborhood, right? We don't need no EPA tell us to get the lead out of the water, tell us to keep the air clean, tell us maybe we can get Cancer Alley in Louisiana cleaned up. Get out of here. Incidentally, I do want to say the EPA had their opportunities to get Cancer Alley taken care of, and they did nothing. They just had a big suit, and they were talking about, dang, we were trying to get legislation and they didn't get nothing. Even I think they were using the metaphor the EPA didn't have the teeth or the capabilities to make things better, and now it's being dismantled even further. This is what white people want. Had the black people down there. She said, I went down to Cancer Alley in Louisiana. I waved at Irie and them. Said, hey. She said, Lord, I done got a headache. Lord, they spewing chemicals in the air, and it's like fireworks going off. Oh, my Lord, what is it? But it's not fireworks. Headaches, fumes, gases, explosions. Oh. Cancer Alley, Louisiana. Now you have even less power to do anything about any of this, and they just picked one region. That is why that they could have went to Houston. Pick that one. They could have picked Baltimore. I just said Freddie Gray. They could have picked Chicago. We just packing them in. Dr. Sylvia Hood Washington was with us for Earth Day 2020. They could have picked a whole lot of regions where they dump niggers, because where they dump niggers, that's where they're going to dump toxin, poison, asbestos, lead. Matter of fact, they could have went to California, Altadena with the fire. Oh, my God. We're not talking is the air safe. We're not talking is the water safe. They already got those questions. They're talking, can I even plant a tomato garden? Is all that burnt asbestos and lead going to be in the soil, contaminate my tomatoes? Did you test the soil? Nope. Now you got even less authority to do so. Oh well. Plant them maters at your own risk. You hear what they said in the report? They said they went out and tested the water. Ooh, you got radioactive water. What? I've never even heard of a such. What are the health ramifications of sipping on radioactive water for 10 years? Come on. Come on. So that's Louisiana Cancer Alley, and you can extend that out. And then they said, the metaphor, they said, after the EPA closures and such, they said the community of Cancer Alley has been gutted. Delectable Negro. We always end up getting gutted. I'd say they were gutted down in Cancer Alley a long time. I thought Katrina did some gutting, right? Building the highway. I mean, they've been gutted in lots of different ways, right? Let's see. When they talked about the getting rid of DEI programs out in the school district in Virginia Beach, and they said the African American programs, we got to put that on pause. We got to shut down some of these websites and can't run afoul of President Trump. They said that the Beach Girls Rock program, they're going to be okay. The Negro program, it's to be determined. Beach Girls Rock, y'all all right. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. I'm going to wager that the Beach Girls Rock program is not full of little black girls that look like Coco Gauff or something of that nature. That's just going to be my guess for the Via Beach area, but I could be totally wrong. It has been a minute since I've been to good old Via Beach. Let's see. The last segment, I did get one report beyond the U.S. Over in the U.K., they said Jenna Smith, black female employee, who was let go, they said that she made some sort of error, allegedly, on the job, and her white employers or coworkers said, "Oh my God, what have you been smoking, Jenna?" And she thought that this was a racist question. Now, hey, they could say, "I just asked a question, Mrs. Smith. What's wrong with you?" All questions are valid. I take the position that now sometimes, 99% of the time, that's true. Sometimes that ain't the case. That's one you can think. Now, is that a valid question? What have you been smoking? Say maybe they're being rhetorical. I reckon. Interesting piece of rhetoric. Now, I have, being truthful, I have heard that kind of slang expression before. I will say, in the workplace, if this was me and retired firefighter, we were going to the farmer's market in Florida, and he took the wrong turn. I said, "Man, I just told you, make a left on 8th Street. What have you been smoking?" We're going to the farmer's market. That's not that. Then in the workplace, I'm not sure that's appropriate for the workplace. Now, if we have rapport, because I know many work environments, it's super tacky. That's the sort of commentary I would expect. But if I don't have rapport with a person, this person, we don't joke, we don't kick it, we don't have lunch, none of that. We just have a professional business relationship. I'm probably not going to say, "What have you been smoking, Todd? Jesus, you didn't..." What? I mean, what? That just seems so inappropriate. I mean, that just seems so inappropriate. I can't even get to the racism part unless we're homies. We make these sort of little tacky jokes, and in many work environments, you have that arrangement exactly. My suspicion is that Miss Jenna Smith, she probably doesn't make those sort of tacky comments to her coworkers. She probably just does her job. If they make an error, "Oh, excuse me, Todd, did you make a mistake on this one here? Maybe you can recheck this one." "Oh, okay. Thanks so much. Great work, Todd. Great work." I suspect that she's accustomed to, I don't know, being professional, speaking in a professional manner, not talking like we're at a frat house, drinking a kegger on a Friday night, because that's not the environment. But then you hear these white reporters or individuals classified as white discussing them, and they're so upset, like you can't even, they kept saying, at the pub. I don't think most white people, when they go out to the pub, I do not think most white people have to be afraid that, oh man, I'm not going to be able to tell nigger jokes and say what I want to because you're going to have the woke police come up and smack me over the head and cancel me and shut me down because I just wanted to come out and tell a few nigger jokes. I remember the Obama years. You can't even say something and giggle. I have my fresh beer. Come on. I do not think that is the problem for most individuals classified as white, and I might even say that is a false equivalent. You comparing being in a pub or a bar and making some sort of comment and saying that, oh man, if I say something, you're going to get me in trouble. They were at work. They were not at a pub, although many of the happy hour meetings and such, yes, they do move to the bar. But from what we were told, unless I misunderstood, they were at work when it was somebody looked at a document, this isn't correct, and, hey, what, you been hitting the pipe? What's going on here? Come on. Come on. And it's my conclusion. White people will do a lot of that. Same thing I said before, slang, references to hip-hop, that sort of thing. They will do a lot of those sort of, make a lot of those sorts of tacky comments directed at black employees saying and doing things that they would not dream of doing, saying if this were someone classified as white. Like if this was a white employee in the workplace, and it doesn't even have to be like the CEO or the supervisor or anything like that. It could just be a regular, hey, white janitor, white cafeteria worker. How about that? Do I think if the sign says it is hash brown day and we have pizza and fried okra, Willie, have you been hitting the pipe? The lunch menu say we supposed to have hash browns. There ain't no you ain't gonna trick me with no okra. You been back there puffing? Come on now, Willie. If that was Willie, now, if they got the nigger cafeteria where, yeah, maybe they might say something like that, but another white employee? No, I could not imagine in the workplace. Totally inappropriate, totally tacky. There's lots of inappropriateness, tackiness, unprofessionalism. Abraham Bolden was complaining about that sort of thing 60 years ago. So, I mean, it's a long tradition of unprofessional, tacky conduct in the workplace. My only commentary, I generally would not respond immediately with, that's racist. They did say they fired her. I'm very much, Gus T, you've been hitting the pipe? Gus T, have you been hitting the pipe? Or what have you been smoking? April 24, Why are you asking me if I hit the pipe? Well, you didn't write this. Yeah, I told you to make the question. Oh, okay, my apologies. Let me get that done. And even if I wait till the next day, why are you asking me if I hit the pipe? Other employees that we've had at this company have made errors, I suspect. Has everybody else here been perfect for the entire time that they've worked here? I want to work there, if that's the case. So, obviously not. No, okay. Do other people, everybody else, they get accused of smoking the pipe if they make an error? These are just options, all staying in the question lane. You could leave this very simply with, write it down. You can make the correction if you did do something in error. Make the correction, strive for accuracy. You can come back the next day and ask. Do you ask everyone who makes an error? You've been hitting the pipe? And then you can, just document to see if that's true. Next time somebody makes a mistake, did they get accused of smoking on something? Either way, I would not recommend speaking in that sort of manner. Someone accuse you of talking about drugs or drug paraphernalia or whatever. Recreational cannabis isn't legal in every state, and I mean, he could have been talking about smoking crack or PCP or something that's not even recreationally legal. So keep it professional in the workplace, and unfortunately, I would say expect commentary just like that, if not out and out being called a nigger. But expect commentary like that in the workplace and already be thinking, how am I going to respond? You don't want to be, surprised that somebody said something rude and tacky like that to you in a work environment, because it is so widespread and apparently all around the world, because that was a UK segment. And even importantly, they kind of included in that report where they're grousing about this and all these woke politics are infringing on our white right to say what we want, not get in trouble, not be indicted for being racist. It's somehow included. We got all these immigrants coming on, and they just went on about that. These immigrants coming on, and it's changing the fabric of the country, and they're coming too quick, and it's not even Britain anymore. And I don't like it. I don't even recognize this place anymore. White genetic annihilation as well. Got to be more racist because I'm mad. Hey, you could just say we don't need no immigrants, and then, well, now you don't have to complain about errors on the job because now you don't have enough employees to even do the job or make errors. Make a decision. Don't have enough white people to do all those jobs. I do know that. White genetic annihilation. Any hoodles, number again, 605-313-5164, the code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. I do want to say quickly as well, they were talking all this in that report, these two white individuals, they're talking, oh man, we were having a private conversation, come up and do all this. They were not having a private conversation when Jenna Smith was asked, what have you been smoking? That was not a private conversation. But the other component, as regards to the workplace, there is no such thing as a private conversation. If you're on the job, you don't know if they have Alexa. Do they have video recording? Audio recording with that? You have other people listening, ear hustling, all of the above. There's no such thing as a private conversation in the workplace. You can be, I was talking to this person over here, but I mean certainly all the other people here and technology, someone else might hear this. I've said for years, speak all the time as though every letter out of your mouth will be transcribed. They'll have crispy digital copies on file and on YouTube for the next 200 years. That's the way that you should think, so that it's not, oh man, this was private. I wasn't intending this. No. Not for the workplace. There's no such thing. If this is supposed to be so-called private, not for everybody, I would really think about, should this be said at all? Just something to ponder on. Certainly not for the workplace. And I don't even know how many work environments do you want a whole lot of. This is just going to be private. Nobody else is going to hear this. It's something that relates to the workplace. Why do we need all these secrets if it's something that does, in fact, relate to work? They've been talking about more salary transparency. So if that's the case, why do we need to be shh? Are we clique members? Are we gossiping about some? Are we trying to embezzle and loot the pension fund? Like, what are we, what's all that privacy for? Speak as though everything you say is going to be transcribed and on YouTube before days end. And if you're not comfortable with that, shh. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Let's see. Folks who dialed in with a hand up. Let's see. Hopefully something related to the workplace, not TV, other random commentary, just the workplace. Our call out 0185. Did you have commentary related to labor?
Boy, Gus, you ain't gonna let me live this.
It's a widespread problem. Widespread problem, not just you.
Well, it has to do with a previous program I was trying to locate it again where you were talking with the female from South Africa about the institutionalized homosexuality that they had in the mines. If you could give me that program again, because I've been trying to find it. I can't find it.
Can post, no problem. That's kind of a request. That's the extent of your commentary, sir?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Yes, I will post that once we are done with the broadcast. I think that was from last year, but easy to take care of. Once the broadcast is done, I'll post it on social media and such, and folks can go back and listen, have fun. Much obliged, right. Good sir.
Also, just one more. Did you ever post the Trapped in Rainbows? You told me you was going to post that one?
No, sir.
With, Joseph Gibson?
No, sir. Lots of programs in the archives. We'll get to that one as well. I don't think I have to do any extra work for the South African miners. Trapped in Rainbows will require a little extra work, but I will let you know once we get that done as well, sir.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
For sure. For sure. All righty. Labor, our exclusive commentary for the day. Much obliged, sir. Hopefully worthy of your time and energy. Let's see, nab a email, then nab other callers related to labor. Let's see. Email number 1. Hi, Gus and Cal's audience. I reported that right-wing Ashley, Zoe, and Shelley are discussing the Netflix series Adolescence. At a recent team away day, and you mentioned Elon Musk's comments on white boys being portrayed as mass murderers. Is that and in general, he was disgruntled, Mr. Musk. He was disgruntled. He says, hey, man, you got this goofy show on Netflix, and you're taking real-life crimes and things that were committed by black people, Leroy's, and then you're going to put the series on, and you're going to put white people playing these roles like it is anti-white bias. And I think he shared somebody else's comment. He shared their comment where they were grousing about all this and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I don't think this is their reason for mentioning the film. The conspiracy is that the child in the series was meant to be black. That's what they were talking about. But changed to white. The author of the book the film is based on has dispelled this myth, but racists are still claiming the race has been changed. That's what they were talking about. This, and wanting to get my views, I believe, is the reason that they started talking about the series. White people do a lot of that in the workplace. They'll bring up, and this is what I mean too, they'll bring up things that have nothing to do with the job. Like, I don't think her job has anything to do at all with Netflix series. Dahmer, none of them. But they keep talking about all this Netflix stuff. In my view, I would not go on the job to be talking about TV. Now, if this is your spouse or your children and y'all want to talk about movies or whatever. But I am not paid to go over what I watch on Hulu. Like, not at all. And I mean, she's talking about away days. Like, really? We took time off from work to talk about television? Well, I am mystified. I'm totally mystified. Like, even if I make note, adolescents, I've never heard this before, they're grousing about a white character, maybe I watch a show. Maybe. Especially if I've already heard Elon Musk. Maybe I watch one just know what these heifers are up to. But other than that, like, nah, man, I'm not. Come on. I mean, let's see, maybe she's seeing this. We had caller before mentioned white person came on the job and started bringing up they didn't like all the use of Nigra in Huckleberry Finn. We don't have no literary club either. We don't work at the library. Why are you talking to me about that? And randomly, too. Why are you even bringing this up? See if you can get me to say something. Nah, I'm good. Next, let me know when the afternoon meeting is. The afternoon meeting still going to be at 1 p.m.? Okay, I'll see you then. Have a great day. Number 2. You are right. White people who underperform in the workplace do get bonus payments, of course. Right-wing Ashley has been awarded bonuses by Shauna and Zoe despite all the issues. I didn't nominate this period, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. White people always get the goodies, even if it's like a pick-me-up, like, right-wing Ashley been having a tough time, and we just want to encourage her. Keep hope alive, right-wing. Go on, keep hope up. Number 3, Shauna and work-avoidant Wanda, formerly known as incompetent Carrie, were the only ones who recruited right-wing Ashley. Right-wing Ashley is actually more capable than work-avoidant Wanda, in my opinion. White people recruit their other white homies and friends, even if they know they don't really have anything to add to the team. In fact, they are kind of lackluster, shiftless, incompetent. But they're white, and I like them. And we have the best chats about Netflix. Oh, we watch everything the same. What does it mean to be white? 4, work-avoidant Wanda is open about her inadequacies, and I've watched other racist suspects in the workplace coddle her. After hearing, she says things like, "My brain is broken." I got crack in my throat. That's, somebody says that in the workplace, that might be one of the few times where you can say, "What have you been smoking?" And I wait for them to say, like, "Who knows? You been huffing something? Like, what? Your brain is broken. You been that fentanyl? What's going on?" HR, we got problem here. Neurological issues. Come on. What? And now just imagine that if you got a black person in there talking at the waiter. "Man, my brain just feels broken. I feel like I'm as retarded as Lord heaven. You've been hitting the pipe for sure, ain't you, Leroy?" Please. Let's see. And she says she blames her incompetencies on menopause. Maybe you hit retirement age? Is that it? You saying you're not skilled, you're not up to the challenge of this job? You hit elderly age early? They got early retirement, Let's see. Number 5. Shelley recently shared a comment from work-avoidant Wanda which was profound. They were discussing overlaps on the projects they are both working on. Work-avoidant Wanda said it's all jumbled up like clothes in a washing machine. Shelley was apparently impressed. Or trolling. I am not impressed. She said it's all jumbled up like a washing machine. Like, that's your mic drop? That's your simile of the day. It's all jumbled up like a washing machine. Wow, Toni Morrison better put her pencil down, man, because that is command of English language. Lord. Let's see. 6. Finally, I realize I need to detach mentally and stop worrying about right-wing Ashley's underperformance. Work-avoidant Wanda and inebriated Annie still have jobs. So right-wing Ashley isn't going anywhere. Absolutely. Now see, if you are a Negra, you can be fired even if you are incompetent. Excuse me, competent. That's what I meant to say. If you are a Negra, you can be fired even if you are competent. If you are classified as white, oh man, you probably won't even get fired for being incompetent, even if you are messing up big time. Matter of fact, Fuller said that explicitly. He said he saw white people who were messing up big time, costing the company money and all kinds of things. I don't even know what that means for the context of his job, because he works at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. So are they printing $100 bills with $5 faces on? Like, what is going on? Man, but if you are classified as white, and it seems like this is so widespread, you can be like not a little bit incompetent. You can be like out of that. I can't even type incompetent. And you don't get fired. Let's see. Yeah, that's why you got to detach a little bit. I was never trying to get her fired, just trying to manage her insubordination and reduce the impact on me. Now that's something that that's important. When you have all these incompetent people that work around you, that does have a massive impact on you, even if it's just time and energy and having to go back and forth and correct this. And oh my God, can we get somebody to type this up for her? And blah, blah, blah. This is how you turn the computer on. And all that stuff is annoying, frustrating, inefficient. That's what brother Elon is talking about with Doge. Like, we got all these inefficiencies. That's a big part of it. When you have to go and tell people the same thing 15 times and they still can't do it right and are all stupid and lazy. But this is exactly what white people want. That's why they have all these white people that are incompetent, but they still have a job. So, for sure, that is one. Like, certainly, just try and minimize the frustrations and its impact on your direct time and energy and even well-being as best you can. But, hey, realize that's another one in terms of accepting that our status is victim of white supremacy. We aren't the most powerful people on our jobs. And, oh, yeah, white people can keep all of their grandchildren, nieces, cousins, homies from kindergarten. They can make sure that all these little lame, lazy, incompetent white people have jobs way longer than we do. That is the system of white supremacy racism. White people do this a lot of times for incompetent white people that they don't even like. And they will still make sure that they got, a job. They'll just put them on a different floor so they don't have to kick it with them. Much obliged. Number again, 605. 313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. We'll be here, let's see, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Abraham Bolden, already mentioned. The Echo from Dealey Plaza. Lots of workplace racism right there, all throughout the text. Same time. And then compensatory call-in Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll catch up on news reports from the last 7 days or so. Quite a bit from the Milwaukee area. Staggering, really, the amount of never anything good from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Never. Anywho, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, compensatory call in. Now, with regards to labor, I think we had mentioned, I talked about the tariffs because there's been so much with the federal job cuts and all the rest of it. Can't emphasize, and even the DEI, depending on, if you're at a school or the type of work environment that you have. Man, I would not be chatting about any of this in the workplace. And that's what I mean about so-called private conversation. It's no such thing if you're on a job. It's just no such thing. You have no idea who can hear you, even if you're in your office or what have you, and they have all that technology and such. I would not bring up any of these, the tariffs, DEI, federal employee cuts, none of that. If other white people or non-white people are talking about these things on your job, you can hear what they say. You can listen to what they have to say. Make note if you think it's important or what have you. But that's another one. I'm not hopping in, getting my soapbox out, and I've been waiting to get my 5 minutes to let y'all know what I think. Like, I'm just not doing that at all. That's another one where I totally, if it's other non-white people, even if you work exclusively with black people, you have no idea what their views are on any of these subject matter. Is no reason that you should think they are going to agree with my perspective on any of these subjects. 2, even if they do agree with all of your viewpoints about the tariffs or anything else, hey, I am sure there are other employees who are present who do not agree with those perspectives. So You don't know if they're going to be ear hustling, and then they can go take that and do some gossiping. Got caller at the courthouse who's told us you got clique members and such. And I've seen that in the workplace where you have people, they are just looking to create conflict all the time. Anything that they can do to get something started, as they say. You're not going to believe what that heathen Gus T was in there talking about today. Oh, I know he was talking about he didn't want the tariffs, or he said he did want them, or whatever. If you want to talk about any other, particularly things that do not relate to the job, oh man, talk about that, go home, Y'all can meet up on the weekend or what have you, if you got a non-white person there and you all have rapport, talk about that off hours. That should not be workplace subject of conversation. Same type of thing we talk about with during election season. You're not there to give your views on the candidates. You're not there to give your views on the policies and how this is going to impact the bottom line and all the rest of it. Like, come on. Listen, you pay attention. Like I said, if anything, I'd pay attention to what white people had to say about all of this and just make notes for myself. Other than that, do more listening, less talking, which should be the rule for the workplace anyway. More listening, less talking. I haven't heard from anybody here they get paid to speechify on their job. Not one person. If we got such a person, you get paid by the word or the sentence or what have you. Well, then chat it up, man. Chat it up. But I haven't heard that person. So, Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Take a quick moment. One recommendation I think our caller in Georgia had given some months back, I cannot endorse enough, and I've seen other reports in that interim where even people classified as white have been talking about this as a problem and saying people do not have quality skills for professional writing for a work environment where it's not, what have you been smoking? And you write that as a text. Like, come on. Or and have an emoji of a cigarette being smoked. That is something that we should practice, all of us, in terms of how do you write professionally where it's correct spelling. There's not lots of abbreviations, LOL and all the rest of it. There are no emojis. It's structurally, grammatically correct. That is very important, even if you have a job where you're not required to submit 20-page papers and all the rest of it. Just being able to convey thoughts in a professional manner in a written form or verbally is important. You might just, have to send an email or what have you, but that's something that I would, and when I say practice, that was the young lady's recommendation. That's a skill that can be practiced even with if you have like a workplace journal where you keep your notifications about things that, remarks that are said, incidents of racism, whatever. When you go to write this information down or type it up, if you keep it on your phone, wherever it is, that can be, I will practice my professional writing. And I'd say that's a great place to do it because I've said for years, when you go to make these entries and write up your reports for things that happen on the job, these don't have to be like 10-page reports. Sometimes it could just be 5 sentences. Date, time, you got all the essentials, who was involved, and exactly what was said, get it, correct, in quotes, all of that. But these don't have to be, sometimes it doesn't even have to be a full-page report. It really can just be like 5-6 sentences where you get all the pertinent details, boom, boom, boom. Of course, you didn't say anything, so it's even shorter. Or you just asked one question, so it's not, a book length. You can take that opportunity every time when you do your journal reports, those 5-6 sentences or what have you. This will be professional writing. All correct spelling, no emojis, talking. I'm not using slang and all the rest of it. I submit no metaphors. I use this to work on how I want to hone my professional writing. And I'd say that's a skill. And even, in fact, telling young people, you don't want to be in a work environment. You do not want to speak the same way. For most of us, you don't want to speak in the same way that you do when you are on a Saturday night at the club or hanging with your friends or whatever it is, it should sound different. Even the writing, even if you're texting, these folks about whatever, and we're going to meet up for the away day or what have you, those texts should not look the same as the text to your homies on a weekend. Y'all are hooking up to go to the club. Just saying. Anywho, give folks, let's see, another 5 minutes or so, see if they're spectating for a spring Thursday evening. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. If we have folks who are planning summer vacation, I forgot. I don't have it on my calendar because I don't have children. Pause right there. If we have attempted parents, now is the time. If you think you have, I think it'd be like 14. I don't have children, but I think it's like 14. Might be a little bit younger, but I think definitely like 14, 15. And they're thinking, hey, I want to get me summer job, make me a few nickels, help out my school clothes for next year, or just, so I can have a good time this summer. Maybe I want to get a vehicle or whatever my plans are. Now is the time. You can put that research in and see if you can get a job. What I say, hey, they say we are on a warming planet. Now is the time. Do you think you can get a job with air conditioning? I said before, the job to get, library. Why you keep saying the library? That's the job to get for the young people. All the libraries that I'm aware of, except a few raggedy ones, they have AC. That should be enough right there when you get them days, June, July, and it's 100 degrees, 110. Psh, I got my water bottle. I got some figs, some cherries. Thermostat is at 72. I'm good. And it's not just the AC, although, like I said, that could be enough. But hey, normally, it's 1 or 3 cute young ladies at the library. Fellas, that should be reason enough. I would rather do that than, what's the alternative? You could be out mowing grass, painting, working at the grocery store, working at Amazon. I'd rather work at the library. You don't have to do back-breaking work at the library. They give you a cart to move the books around, so you can just push that in the air conditioning. They got Wi-Fi at the library. You can be listening to your tunes or what have you. Have your phone on. You just go put books up. Might find something to read at the library. I got a lengthy list of reasons why I picked the library, but I would be looking for that now in terms of summer job opportunities, so you do not have to have your child in something lame and just where, I can make some money, but it's McDonald's. It's working outside. It's just racism and stress and not even well paid, and you're not even really picking up a lot of life skills. I'm just making tater tots for the summer. See if you can find something cool, maybe even related to what they might be thinking about they'd like to do career-wise. Maybe they can start interning or doing something now to pick up experience, income in that field, and have a way cooler experience than just doing some lame job like cutting grass, working at Dollar General for 3 months over the summer. Start putting, and they can do that too. Get online and see what's available in your region, things that they would like to do, talking to other people, but put that time in now. That way by the time June hits, you'll be ready to roll in the AC. Let's see. Retired firefighter in Florida. Have commentary to share, should be with us.
Yes. Before I start, I just want to get permission. I remember you stating about to come up with some instances that was outside of this part of the world that's called the United States. And I did find one, but it's about 2-3 years old. Would that be okay?
I'd rather have current reports within like the last year or so. Maybe you can just give us 2 or 3 sentences. We don't have to get the whole report. If you want to maybe give 2 or 3 sentences so we get the gist.
It's 2023.
Okay.
Okay. This is not too far from you. Calgary, Canada, which I think is about 600 miles. What's that? Southeast of Seattle. Starting with it's talking about racism in the fire department in Calgary. Starting with a non-white black male by the name of Chris Coy. He happened to have been the first black firefighter of that department in Calgary. He said his career of racism came into existence very early for him in training by being hazed, by being strapped to a stretcher against his will and repeatedly doused with the fire hose. Number 2, he said he was ostracized at lunch, whatever that means. I'm sure it wasn't something pleasant, his ostracizing. Number 3, throughout his career, fellow firefighters used a racial slur directed at black people. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be surprised if it was nothing other than the word nigger. For years, Coy suffered in silence as he feared speaking out would mean dismissal, or worse, not shielding him from danger. That can be a situation of being inside of a fire and the rest of the crew abandons him and leaves him in by himself. That makes a dangerous situation even more dangerous. I can tell you that from experience. The mayor and fire chief have pledged to address the racism, and they probably still are. Racism is prevalent in Canada's. In the article, it also indicated that racism is prevalent in Canada's famous Royal Canadian Mounted Police, headed by what I think is a white woman. I went by the name of the person to suspect is a white female. 1/3 of the city of Calgary is black or people of color or indigenous people. Last but not least, another veteran firefighter, Shannon Pennington, described an episode when a large Pink Panther stuffed toy was smeared with black shoe polish, and shoe polish is prevalent inside of fire stations because we're always shining our shoes, so they would have all that equipment in there. Black shoe polish on his face, on the face of the toy, the stuffed toy, and hands, and hung with a rope around its neck from the rafters, wearing a uniform belonging to a black firefighter. The black firefighter also feared a backlash. And last but not least, an indigenous firefighter committed suicide as a result of PTSD and constant bullying. So that's the somewhat recent history of the fire department in Calgary, Canada. That's all I have.
Much obliged, retired firefighter in Florida. How embarrassing for the Pink Panther. Again, that's sort of widespread, because I know we've heard a lot of reports in this part of the world, so-called U.S., where Negro firefighters, or what shall I say, attempted black firefighters, Opalaka 3 included, get a real tough break. They want to come and see what you're reading on and play all kinds of practical jokes on you and all the rest of it. But that is not just a U.S. problem, all over the world. And even that's when, like, hey, that has that same frat house feel to it. Because I said before, if it's somebody being in a work environment or whatever, and they say, well, you made an error on the report that you were supposed to submit for the 23rd yesterday, you got the date wrong. You got the date on it for the 28th. You messed that up, and I think you might even misspelled something on the report too. They don't come at you and say, you messed all that up. Oh, my Lord, you've been smoking crack? What? That's not professor. That's like we're in some sort of frat house. Everything that I just heard, all these practical jokes well, not everything. Everything I just heard is racism, but a good chunk of that, playing practical jokes on people and getting shoe polish, and we will get a Pink Panther and we put the shoe polish on, make it black and nigger panther. Are you serious? Like, that's some old like high schooler. Really, I'm being generous and saying sorority or fraternity prank. That's like some old high school. Like, are you serious? Not to mention, whose Pink Panther teddy bear was that? Did you steal some child's toy to come in here and put your racist prank up? Come on. Come on. You don't have nothing better than, you all are supposed to be firefighters. The best of the best. Like, these folks is some sort of serious emergency and lives on it. Oh, let's get to it. Woo, woo. You out here calling people niggers and these racist, like what? Driving people to suicide? Come on. Now, again, that's why I say the identity victim of white supremacy. That's why things like that happen. And that's why I said you just have to be prepared. All of it. You've been smoking crack? What's going on? All of that. You just have to be prepared. I'm likely to be in an environment where people make tacky, racist, crude comments all the time, every day. I'm not going to reciprocate with any of that because the gold counter-racist code, at least what I submit, Dr. Welsing, Mr. Fuller, Dr. Cambon even, I'm professional and courteous on the job at all times. So I didn't come here to say, oh my God, this is an unsavory, foul-mouthed character. Nope. They might say that anyway. But the evidence is going to be, he's always professional. He speaks, yes, sir, no, sir. He doesn't ask anybody, you been smoking crack because you messed that up? Nope. He never says anything like that. It might be, at most, it might be a question. Sir, did you maybe made an error right here on this one? That type of it is not going to be, you smoking crack, ain't you? What's wrong? Get your act. I'm going to be professional, even though I do not expect anybody here to be professional. I expect it to be exactly what he shared. And that's if I'm at the fire department, the hospital, I do sanitation work, whatever. I work at the community college down the road, whatever. We're in a system of white supremacy racism, so I expect the tacky. I just work on my code. How am I going to respond? How can I minimize this so that I can get through my day? Other folks who dialed in, oh, Canada, Indy, he said it was in the Royal Mounted Police too. That's what I said, like, dang, these supposed to be the best of the best. That's what they say about the police here in the States, isn't it? I think that's what they say in the UK about the Met too, Metropolitan Police. These are the best of the best. They don't just go grab any old wino off the street and give you a badge and a nigger knocker and say, all right, you can go out and be Royal Mounted Canadian Police. They don't do that. They don't do that here if you want to be Mark Furman, community college dropout with a GED, but they don't just go and grab any old wino off the street and give you a police car. Say, all right, get out there and do it. They certainly don't just grab anybody off the street and give you a fire truck. Apparently, you still can practice racism and do all of those jobs. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up. Caller at the courthouse in Florida. Commentary to share. Have they been updated since you had a week to percolate on old Phoenix Ickner down at the courthouse in Florida? Now again, that shooting at Florida State, my Florida geography was a little off last week, so Tallahassee is west of where our caller at the courthouse is in the gigantic state of Florida. Tallahassee is like the panhandle region of Florida where they just had a dead fish toss between Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. White people are wild. But yes, have they been chatting that they had a week to read and get all the information. Oh my Lord, old Phoenix Ickner was race soldier, white supremacist, and hated on Rosa Parks and said that the niggers was messing up his part of Florida. Have they been gossiping or chatting on the tragedy of old Phoenix Ickner, and even they've been talking about the gun, getting new gun laws. I seen the whites because they said, man, we have had it up to here. They had Parkland. Now they got FSU. We are tired. Ron DeSantis, you're going to get some gun laws in this state right now. I said, you're going to need a whole lot more Phoenix Ickners for that to happen, in my opinion. Have they been chatting it up about the gun laws or old Mr. Ickner's mass gun violence last week?
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners, and callers. Gus, the only thing that I heard was a white woman. I think she was being refined, and I mean she's about Florida State, the T-shirts and everything, the colors and everything. And she even said that she went on a trip to New York and heard about the shooting, but it didn't seem like she went into details about him expressing the white supremacist views and everything. She just said how she just thought it was a very sad or a tragedy, you know, and I thought that was interesting because this same white woman was also codified when that other white woman in their department was hiding all of those doctor's notes. And she shared with a victim that that white woman made some social media posts, but she would not share them. So she practiced racism in that way. And I think she knew what that white woman was posting, but she wouldn't share with the victim what the white woman was saying. But that was the only talk that I heard about Phoenix Ickner. Gus, there was a name, because it's been some interesting names from some either some customers or some people that are some recruiters that we help out. And one of the recruiter's last name was Whitesides. It's WHITESIDES, Whitesides. And he was in the title of the email. It said General Whitesides. So I couldn't remember the first name, but the last name was Whitesides, and he was from the state of Virginia. So that was a person that I assisted in the last couple of days. There was a victim of racism that I was helping out, and this white woman that sits in the area where there are mainly the black people, the segregated area, she tends to do this certain act of, I'll just call it racism, with black people, where like if I'm assisting a black person, and for example, I was going to give her contact information to get transcriptions from like a court hearing. So she was telling, like, I guess some form of her son's, I guess, troubles and, you know, his criminal case and everything. And talking about how she helped, you know, raise children in the neighborhood and everything. It wasn't very long of an interaction, but the white woman, of course, being nosy. I'll just use the term nosy. And you can just, you can see her eyeballs looking over the computer monitor at the customer, and the customer turning and then looking over, not only speaking to me, but speaking to the white person. And then within a few seconds, she's over to the desk where the white person is seated. And the white person is, I guess I'll say, just taking advantage, just being a white person listening to what is being said by the black person. And she just asking questions. Oh, well, is your son doing this? Is your son doing that? And where did y'all grow up at? And where are you from? Massachusetts. And, information like that. But I eventually ended up providing the contact information to the victim. Okay, but I just wanted to share this part of my experience. It happened last week where this white woman will do that with black customers and tend to kind of like, I guess, probe or be nosy about their personal lives. It'll be black people that she'll help out mainly. This time, it was done with a victim of racism that I was helping out. My next one I'd like to share is there was I guess like a luncheon thing that they have for another victim who last day is going to be tomorrow. She's been in the area where I'm at for about 8 years. So I guess she's been getting kind of emotional or whatnot. And that this same white woman made this comment, okay, saying, oh, well, you need to stop all of that crying because I'm going to tell you like how I tell my children, fix your face. That's the comment she made, fix your face, okay? And I wrote that down, like, once again, like, trying to categorize as a little child or whatever, I guess. She tends to do that. She's done it from the reports that I've shared in the past. And there was one where a white child, I was taking a photograph of the little white boy, and the white mom was saying that, oh, you can't really smile or anything like that. So the smiling thing came up again, and he had asked me, he said, sir, why is it that, we can't smile for the picture? Is there a reason for that? And I just said, well, they want to make sure your face is in its natural form, and that's how I responded to him, for the passport. But yeah, I noticed that the white people a lot of the time will tell the offspring or the people that they're with to just, don't try to smile so much. Just look straight to the camera. And, even though I've heard them say things like terrorist and Jeffrey Dahmer and stuff like that and mug shots, there was a Bring Your Child to Work Day event that happened today. And I noticed there was only one child or a minor that was non-white. And this visualization I got when I was in the lobby, and I seen all of the minors walking from one area to the next with the clerk, most powerful white person, walking behind them doing this little tour thing. And I seen the child, the melanated child, minor. He was the last child in the line. So I thought about that phrase, black get back. and yeah, like none of the other black people in the staff brought in their offspring to do this tour thing, and it really seemed like this white woman, the HR lady, was trying to, I guess, promote it a little more to reach out to everybody, I guess, to get their children to come out, but it didn't look like it produced at least too many black people or non-white people to bring their children in. And if I share one more, Gus, the white woman who used to be the manager came in today, and she was, I guess, trying to come in to so-called celebrate the black female who had been there for 7 years. She's going to work in another building. So a black customer comes in, and the victim says, this white woman that was sitting in there, oh, well, this is our manager. This is the manager. And the white woman starts laughing. So she said it to the black guy again. Oh yeah, this is our manager right here. This is the supervisor. So I started hearing her make these whiplash sounds like whoosh, whoosh, and she did it like 2 more times, whoosh, whoosh, like that. Oh, so I thought about the cracker, because I hear the term cracker get used. So yeah, and this was the day she made that sound, okay, and she was laughing and everything and snickering. So I wrote that one down, and other than that, that's all I have to share right now. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
I'm the boss. I'm in charge. See, what's your response to folks who say you ought to be shamed because that white woman who comes and works at the front desk, she is not being nosy, certainly not racist. She is just chipper and talkative. And, everybody likes a little banter. You up at the desk and you got to be hanging out because it's going to take more than a few seconds for them to get documents or whatever they got to do. And, oh, where'd you grow up? Oh, where'd you go to school? You married? How your children? That's common banter. Like, you ought to be shamed for suggesting that there's something racist or nefarious about that conduct. What would your response be?
I would say this after the time that I spent around her or next to her, and the comments that she made about black people and the jokes she's laughed at, I would use that as saying that I think she's doing that to protect or to be deceptive at black, or for black people to find out that she is a racist. I think that she does that to get me as well to think that she isn't a racist. She'll do that, but she won't talk like that with the white customer. She'll even change her accent up and everything.
Interesting. Okay. Much obliged. Being deceptive, like nobody does it better in terms of being deceptive about, oh, I'm not racist. I chat it up and all the rest, and we tell jokes, and what do you mean race? Nobody does it better. Master deceivers. The white sides, I've never heard that. I think white side without an S at the end, I think I've heard that before. White sides. I don't think I've heard that one before, but white people have a lot of those, like surnames with white in it, or even fair. Wow, it is an abundance. Just keeping it, in terms of what is our identity. Let's see. He said, taking advantage, and that's why I'd said before, in a workplace context, I said, you're not paid to speechify. I still haven't heard anybody here who I get paid by the minute on my job, so I'm just, running off at the mouth and yum, 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 all day. I haven't heard anybody. Well, that's the job that they have. Don't even get paid by the written word. As such, shh. Now you come to the courthouse or wherever else, this is like serious business. So you come to get your documents. I just want to get my documents. I'm not saying you have to be rude or anything like that, but I don't think this should be, oh man, I was just hoping you would give me an opportunity to tell you my life story. And look here, this is where I started out at kindergarten, and I matriculated on through, and by the time I got to college, still a little time, but whoa. You're talking to someone classified as white. I would say that alone, you do not want to be in a habit of just mindless chatter with white people. That is a horrible habit, period. You just want to get your documents. Don't feel like really any time in public or what have you, having someone classified as white talking to you, do not ever feel like, well, I've got to answer every single question, blah, 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 blah. If this is not, do I need to answer these questions to get my documents? No? Oh, okay. Well, let's just get it. Yeah, we don't have to. I don't need to tell you my whole life story. Come on now. Let's just get the documents, man. We can have a pleasant day and be curt. You don't need to hear my whole life story. Come on now. Where did you go to school? Where's your grandmother from? Come on now. Come on. And then you telling racist jokes once I leave. Come on. Just give me my information. Thank you. The fix your face. I'm not one of your children. Or excuse me. I'm going to talk to you the way that I talk to my children. Say it correctly. Fix your face. There's that another one. You could say something. You could just write it down. Fix your face. You're not my child, but I'm going to talk to you like you're one of my children. You fix your face. You write it down, date, time, all that. Or you could now, I was even thinking of asking now, you said, if I heard right, you're going to talk to me like I'm one of your children. Am I one of your children? Because, I mean, hey, we are on the plantation, victim of white supremacy. He did say the cracker. White people know better than, I mean, hey, you niggers, y'all are our children. That's how I'm going to talk to you. Fix your face, nigger. Fix your face. And he'd said, the white woman previously, this was, I think, earlier this year, she came and said, what are you doing in here? Listening to white folks' music. Whoa, what? Just the way that they think of black people. We are not adults. We are not men and women, boys and gals. That's what they think of when they, I'm going to talk to you the way I talk to my children. Fix your face. And I mean, even that's another one for the workplace. Like, I couldn't imagine talking like we would have to have all kinds of report. Imagine our caller right there. Imagine him going up to one of the clique members or whatever. Hey, fix your face. We out in public. We got customers coming in, need password. Fix your face. What's wrong with you? What? Come on. Even if they were, I mean, I don't know what the person was looking like, but if they were scowling, grimacing, even then, oh man, are you okay? Wow, looked like something was wrong. Customer might come in and think you need assistance or what? I don't know. Maybe we can smile a little bit, maybe something like that. But I could not imagine. Fix your face, man. Fix your face. Get it together. Even if same thing I said, but even if I was talking to custodial worker, least powerful person in the building. Negras on the other, oh yeah, fix your friend, talking to children. Let's see. Speaking of children, and he said they had bring your children to work day. Now he said, I was going to say, thankfully, it seemed like most of the black people, they didn't bring their offspring into the job. I would say, bravo. You want to talk about white people, racist, being nosy and prying and all the rest of it. Oh, just come in, let me pinch your cheeks, and how old are you? Where do you go to school? Where does your dad work at? And they just pump it, boom, 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 asking questions. And do you really want all the white people on your job, many of them who are not even courteous to you, do you really want them fondling your children? Really? Bravo. If this was a, nah, I don't think the clique members need to meet my daughter. I'm going to pass on that. Bravo. Brilliant decision. Now, I do think that sort of event, when they have bring your children to work day, I do think that is very important to think about, like, in advance, because if that means it's going to be like 2-year-old white children, 5-year-old white children, 10-year-old white children in the workplace, like, oh man, that's one I would at least think on. That's why I say the code is, if you can't be early, be on time. So you have your 15 minutes of time to just process, meditate before you actually start your shift. If today is bring children to work day, and I think, oh man, Ned is going to have Ned Jr. in, oh man. He had said before, some of them had little white people there, and they look like they live in a racially restricted region of Florida, and they ain't never seen Negra in their life. And they came, what? Oh, Lord. They got, Mom, nigger section. Oh, Lord. Oh, and he said some little folks just looked ooh. All of that. So I'm not surprised about any of this. If they're older and walking around, they might want to come up and do the same thing and ask you a whole bunch of questions and all of that. That's the sort of thing that you'd have to be prepped for too. In my opinion, that, deserves a whole separate branch of codification in terms of how do we deal with racist children in the workplace, because you don't want to get in trouble with your other coworkers, the racist child's parents. You don't want to be terrorized by them either. Hopefully this doesn't happen at all in your workplace, or certainly doesn't happen more than maybe once every 3 years, maybe. But man, were there any white children who came in for this day? You were able to navigate the little rascals okay?
Yes, sir. I seen them from a distance, but it was, I would say, 9 out of 10, predominantly white. Only one child with brown skin.
He said
he was in the back. He was the last child in the line, and I noticed he was looking his head down to the floor. So that was the body language he was giving off.
One more time for Black Get Back, with his head down at the back of the line. But important, well, equally important, he said he did survive the little white rascals being in the building, but from a distance. Bravo. That's the way to do it. But dang, see, that's why I said for the non-white people victims who did not bring their children in, brilliant. Why want to bring my child in for what? So they can be at the back of the line, head down, feeling bad? That's how I feel. I don't want to be. Nah, I'm good. Stay at home. Just stay at home. Or at school. Sorry. They should be at school now. Sorry. Or homeschool. Even better. And then the former manager, she came in. She didn't have her head down, and it was terrible working here, and everybody hated me, and I couldn't leave my coffee unattended because they're going to swango me. Hey, that's our former manager, see? And what the... Let's see, that said that before. Master. The cracker. He said they got them signs all throughout Florida State, man. Cracker. The cracker. I'm the boss. You see, the niggers know I'm the boss. Come on. And that is widespread, that white people make that sound and they associate that with the boss, the man, the woman, white. Even the little fellas. That's why the little non-white person was in the back of the line with his head down. See? Boss. I'm in charge. That's what that means. Even after I retire and I don't even work here anymore, I'm the boss. Anywho, somebody had just talked to us. It was Big Victim in Alabama. He had just said that. He said that's the difference in the retirement treatment, where he said it was one of his attempted relatives. We had said that she retired, and she did the same thing, like the white woman that he was just talking about, where she retired and then came back in to, I guess, visit and kick it and all that. I would not recommend that at all. Like, it would have to be, I worked with these exact people for 50 years, and everybody that I worked with is still there. I'm going to come and dap them up. Maybe we go out for lunch. They're all classified as black, and we worked. I mean, we put it down. We got pictures all of it. It would have to be something like that. If it's not that, you've got to be joking. I'm going to go back and kick it, and hey, I just wanted to spend the day, and oh, how you doing, Rebecca? So good to see. My sick white brother that they say is unprofessional and doesn't know how to talk to me. I got to go back and say hi to, oh, brother, I ain't seen you in so long. You doing all right? Oh, it's a blessed day to see. Are you serious? The white woman that's married to a black dude says she need to get monkeys to train her non-white children. Say he doesn't even know how to wash his hands, her black husband. I need to go back and see her again. Child, I just been thinking I can't get you off my mind. Just want to make sure you're okay. Are you serious? Come on. I don't recommend going back for the visit, but Big Victim said that he had a relative she went back to go visit, and he said, man, what? All these people were racist? They hated you every day while you were there. You couldn't even leave your beverage unattended on the table. Fear that they spit in it if you turn your back. Now you can go back, well, it's the right thing to do. Victims guaranteed qualified. I'm not on the... maybe if you own the company, maybe. If you got stock options in the company, maybe you go back and make sure, check on your investment type thing. But, I mean, if it's just these are people that you used to see 5 days a week and now you don't, you just want to go for nostalgia's sake? Come on. Come on. I don't think the slaves, I could be wrong. I don't think the slaves would go back to revisit the plantation once they get liberated. Might be dangerous, in fact, because they say you escaped, so hey, put the shackles back on. Man, I don't know. Anyway, much obliged, our caller at the courthouse, and he said no, we didn't get no, I didn't forget that. He said they didn't get no update on Phoenix Ickner. They didn't come in and talk about no gun laws, which I didn't suggest that. I'm not saying at all. I'm just saying he didn't say they came in, white dude, and went out there and shot up Florida State. Deion Sanders rolling over in his grave. He didn't say they came in and talk about gun laws. None. In fact, they didn't even come in. What a disgrace out here saying it Rosa Parks in the wrong. He said the most, it was one white woman. Florida State. I don't know if she alum, whatever association she got, but it was one white person. Said, Shame what happened on the campus. What a tragedy. And that was all. didn't give out no. I don't agree with that. I think Rosa Parks was doing the right thing, and I wish we all had the courage of Sister. We just had Women's History Month last month. Nah. Was he being truthful about the black people messing up that part of West Florida? Was he telling? Nah. Gun laws and Shame. We Seminole strong. Seminole strong. What now? If Leroy had shot up Florida State,
bunch of talking.
Hey, I don't know. I could be wrong, but if one of his cousins had shot up Florida State, his nephew or whatever got mad and riled up, they messed us over on the DEI program, and I wanted to be a Gator up at Gainesville, and they denied me. I couldn't even celebrate the championship properly, and I'm mad, and I'm going let off a few rounds. I think they would have said something about Leroy, and I think they would have said a whole lot about Leroy. In fact, I remember the white fella in Polk County, right around the way in North Florida. The sheriff came out. They were doing the riots and things for George Floyd, and he said, I wish you tried. Think you're going to be woke and do all your DEI? Come to Polk County and try it. I dare you. See what happens. Man, I think they would have had a whole lot to say if Leroy had went out to Tallahassee and got wild and killed some white students. But Phoenix Ickner, po thing. Anyway, and that's one we can even follow because there should be a trial. Ooh-wee. Wait till we get there. They have to get on the stand and get witnesses about what happened and the build-up. Oh, Lord. Wait till the trial. That's when I wouldn't say a word. I would just wait because that's going to be front page in Florida every day. Wait till the trial. Woof. Doesn't get any better than tacky. Let's see. Bay Area Mom be with us as well. Let's see. Bay Area Mom should be with us.
Can I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Greetings to you. I would have called earlier. I'm so sorry, but it just clicked in my head. Workplace racism on Thursday. This is workplace racism, right? Because I haven't been on in a minute, right? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yay! Okay. So, it's a flu at the school, and I've been behind. Real recap. So the relationships. So the relationship there was two. I think I remember sharing this. It's two. Now, mind you, everybody just got there except for the man that's been there for 9 years. He's one of the people that started with me that took a liking to this gentleman, and she follows this man around. Everybody's black, the relationship crew. So it's all over the school. So by the time spring break was over for us, when spring break was over, we had to come back a day before the children came back. The whole school knew. The whole school knew to where half the school was late for our closing circle because they were in their own circle talking about it. They were talking about it because I think the girl's birthday was around in that. Sometime, I don't know, that's April, March. Maybe at the end of recently, the girl had a birthday. So she's made this announcement about her birthday. Even on our data sheets, I'm collecting data for the children with special needs, and she's writing happy birthday to me on someone else's data sheet. It was just so unprofessional. So I don't say anything because I don't get reported. So I've been reported a slew of times, and I got reported for being rude for just requesting to allow me to do what I need to do versus you, because then when you do it, it creates behaviors, and I get attacked. I got bit recently and had to get sent home with pay to go to Kaiser. So I just try to prevent anything from happening. And yes, I know I could do all kind of things, but I got it. So anyway, the little boy, that's the little boy in the closet in the room, because what happened? He wanted his iPad. So when I'm not there, which is a lot, I spend 1 hour with him in the morning, and I'm the start of his day. And I don't get back to him until after 1 o'clock, sometimes 1:30. And that's a long stretch for him. He's all kind of different people in the midst of that. He wanted his iPad or a tablet computer. Just as soon as he got in, hey, I want a computer with my breakfast. And I didn't even say no. I didn't say anything. All I was doing was preparing the breakfast, and he just went wild. He just went wild. It was just awful. Just how abusive technology is to these children's brains, especially the ones with brain damage like that, to where he can't have computers at all. So I have to work with this other girl that's so focused on a relationship with the gentleman that's been there 9 years. It makes it complicated, because if you do what you need to do, if you just follow the protocol, it makes it easier. I'm not saying he's not going to have a bad day. I'm not going to say he's going to have behaviors. Every day he lets me know my computer's not available. I know, sweetheart. I know. And then he's so used to me. So he's like, no, say, oh, dear, what should we do? So I say, oh, dear, what should we do? So they're going to put him on medication. His mom's got the medication she's going to put him on over the weekend and start over the weekend and try. I'm just throwing all this out there to just give you a little picture of his world. So I guess outside of the home, it's got to be, in his home, it's got to be tricky too for his mom to just be like, oh no, yeah, we got to get you on something to calm you, because I know he just had a birthday, and I know, and he's a twin, and I know the behavior, especially with spring break and him being at home maybe at least a little over a week. I know that had to be something tricky, especially with the technology, because he gets out the car and, okay, give me the phone, give me my phone, and then as soon as he gets in the car, he's getting someone's phone. So I just, would request of the girl, can we just, follow the plan? Okay, no problem. Can you clean up? Okay, no problem. No arguing if I saying I'm trying to be decent. So, and it's like, no, it's absolutely the way she said it. Other people, when they're relaying it back, because then I end up getting reported when she leaves. And so we had to have a meeting to say, hey, look, it's this. Let's do a scenario, just so you make sure everybody's clear. So it is the way I stated, because it needs to be that way, because we're dealing with behavior and trying to change them. So, nope, we're so focused on this relationship with this man that already is in a relationship, and he's clearly stating that he doesn't do anything. This is what he does. So now he had to vent, because we come in, we're just all of us adults. She takes his laptop out of his thing and goes hides it. She rearranges his room. She starts moving all kind of stuff all over the place, just that kind of stuff. So she's really a disturbance. So now he's trying to plead his case to his coworkers, because everyone else is, oh, he's such a scum. He sleeps with everybody. I don't know if he sleeps with everybody or not, but I'm just thinking, work is work. Give him his space. Don't make a spectacle of yourself to where we're late for a closing circle, because everybody's talking about all this now, because the girl allegedly got a tattoo of the man's name on her arm and showed it to him, and then it just went wild. And then is it real? Do you think it's Photoshop? So no one knows if it's real or not, because no one really talks to her. But she has initials on her nails, just that kind of stuff. So she's so focused on other things. I ain't never getting met. So that kind of stuff. So I ended up I still work with him. I just don't work with him as many hours, and it wasn't because of that. It's just because I have to dedicate myself to another student that I need to get talking and use their words more, and it's lovely. They're doing it. The second relationship, now it's turned into something else. So the guy was just saying, look, I can't date at work. I can't do that. I just don't think it's right. I can't, I might not even be good enough for you. Just all this stuff. He's just, and he's trying to keep it as professional as possible. He can't. Because she's like, well, you didn't say that when we went out. You didn't say that. You can't date at work because it's a disaster. So now a lot of people don't like the gentleman, and he's kind of like the operations, of the school. So he makes a nice amount of money. Maybe that's why he's attractive to all the ladies at the job, or enough of the ladies at the job that don't have a date. So, they're mean to him, blackmail. They don't like him. They don't like him. The white lady that did have that job before that quit in November, that lady, she was much better. Much better. She did all this, blah, 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 blah. She did all this. But they don't help him. No one is actually helping him. So what I did one day is asked a gentleman, it was a fire alarm went off, and no one said, okay, so he did the fire alarm thing. I guess it's scheduled, right? Maybe, okay, we're going to have a fire alarm at 10:30. Just making up something. So it's scheduled, fire alarm. They know he started in November. Everybody's all in the office. You can let him know, okay, Mr. So-and-so, make sure you call the fire department and let them know that you're going to ring the alarm so they don't come. Because if they come, they charge the school however many, I think it's $500 or so. Whatever it is, they charge the school. Nope. Everybody's mad at him for whatever reason. He's not this, he's not that, he's whatever. I know, come on now. He should already know. How? So, and maybe he should already know, but how come if we're all in a space all day, how come why do you want him to fail? So that's that. So when the alarm went off, the fire department. So, I like the fire department because I have the other child that I'm working to get him to talk. He loves fire trucks. So I'm just, so we were outside with, wow, it's, yay, for us, but not for him because they weren't supposed to come. It was just for us. But if they would have let him, gave the information, it would work. So I asked this other gentleman that they've been working there for years. He does some kind of on-the-ground operations, whatever he does, with both of the schools. And I said, can you look out for him and make sure whatever information he needs to know, he does so this doesn't happen? He was like, you know what? For sure, I got it. Yeah, man, you can't be doing that, or whatever it was. But then he's not angry at him for that happening. He knows that he doesn't know, and maybe if you could just put out a little extra, just for guy to guy, whatever guys do, you can please look out for him. So he does, right? The ladies were talking about him. We were in our closing or in one of our meetings, our little huddles that we have 3 days a week. And they're talking about, he's stressed out as much money as he make. And there's like half the ladies are like, so it's like, you can tell that I don't mean to say like, you can tell that he's been discussed and they're agitated by him to where they want to push him out. And he was also thinking of not coming back because of black principal. This is his last year. He's not coming back in August. So he was going to leave too. But I think he was convinced to stay another year because he felt everybody would push him out because it would be a female principal and 2 female vice principals. So he would kind of, I don't know. So, but we'll see what happens. I think he's going to do another year. For me, yesterday in one of those huddles, I guess they have Educator of the Week. So I was told the day before, Tuesday, that I would be Educator of the Week and come up with whatever my why is. Maybe why am I in education, or what made me pick education, why that school, and something else. So My why is totally different than everybody else's why. I did it. She said, "What song do you want?" "What song? What are you talking about?" "So, what song do you want me to play for it?" "I don't care." I say, "Play whatever. I don't care." Shouldn't have said that. So I don't really care about what song you play. So this is the queer lady that was always, when I first started working, I'm queer, I'm queer, I'm queer, I'm queer, I'm queer, I'm queer, I'm queer. So, the queer lady. So, I didn't write anything down. I didn't want to be long-winded. I just said, I think my why was education is, because I did want to see how the children fare and how the children on the spectrum fare in the classroom. I want to see, what does it look like? What's going on? How does it look? And that's my why. Why that school snapped, because I don't know what did I say? I don't remember what I said. Maybe because I wanted to see what I could do to help the children that were here, especially because it's a small school. And I don't know what else. It's probably, and two, because I do remember just with my son, there's not a lot of ambition. I don't understand. So I did probably want to see what's going on in the schools. What's going on, y'all? So, yeah, anyway. So when it was time to talk, so you write down stuff like a whiteboard or whatever, a piece of paper, and then my name, and then posted whatever people thought about me or whatever their thoughts were. So there were a lot of decent thoughts, and then there was a lot of people that just jumped in saying all kind of stuff. That was so nice, and it was so cool, because I don't pay attention to myself because I gotta go. But I guess I'm being observed, so they see me, and it's crazy. And they all notice how I work with, especially the little boy in the room, because his first grade teacher is like, looking at him now and looking at him then, it's you. And thank you. Because remember, he was one peeing all over the school and running down with his pants down and whatever else he's doing, screaming and hollering for hours up and down the halls. Well, I don't have to. Yes, he bit me. But he can't, it's everything. And it has to be, you have to attend to it. So, and I don't want to not help him. I get it. But I don't want to not help him. I got to say. If it was anybody else, I would have 2-week notice his behind. But since it's him, I want to work with him. I really want to work with him until he graduates 4th grade, because with his behaviors and with everything that's said about him, I don't know what will happen if I'm not working with him. And I do care enough to say that, because I do want to see something, because once he leaves 4th grade, that's it. That's it. Once he leaves there, that's it. And I know that from going to middle school. So, yeah. But I guess these people will see me and see what I do, but it's kid-based. It's not, all the other stuff in passing in the hall. Just what I do with the children, all the children. And I guess they do appreciate me, the children, and I do kind of demand respect with my demeanor. And my verbal. So, okay, I'm in my line. I'm sorry, you changed it to Thursday. I know you see what I got going on, so please forgive me. Okay, I'll need my line.
Wow, much obliged, Bay Area mom. Wow, we are worthy of great pity. Like, I wrote that down, and I was going to write it down again, and I said, oh, you already got that down. You just keep saying the same thing. Like, woo, we are worthy of great pity. Not our educator of the week, but other than that, like, woo, we are worthy of great pity. I mean, dang. Like, well, how about maybe can we take a teaspoon of time? I didn't say the whole day, just maybe a teaspoon of time. We got all these educators, presumably a lot of hours spent studying and learning and reading and what are the best techniques, newest methods for teaching information, relaying that to children. You got a whole building filled with people like that, presumably with all of these brilliant young minds and people who, for whatever their ambitions, some of that's supposed to be explained in Educator of the Week. Maybe we take some of this time and we come up with what is, our technology strategy. Do we just chuck the iPad, let them hang out on that all day long? We've looked at some of the latest data from that. We share, we stay current on that. Maybe we even sit around and have some talks about that. What do you think? What's your experience? Nah. We, Area 8, always Area 8. Now, Area 8 is why we got all these throwaway children in his office. Remember that? That's why we got all this in the first place. Area 8, then we get all these little throwaway black gals and boys, and got other things to do and can be kind of loud. Club is still open. Like, man, worthy of great pity. In a system of white supremacy, in fact, that's the most important motivator. Not these children. She said, we are late to the closing circle. I don't even say that's the most constructive thing, but man, that's on the schedule, I bet. I bet we knew at least a day in advance the closing circle is going down. So we got that tomorrow, and okay, so we can do closing circle, boom, boom, boom. We late, not because of one or two people, but large numbers of people. Like, oh my God, worthy. And that's even full of, woo. We are silly about things that are serious, like educating black children. We are serious about things that are silly. You hear he didn't want a date, so-called, talking about we work together. Worthy of great pity. I don't even know what it is. Also, hey, now, when you play around with sex, oh man, who wants to be at that school? We're missing school activities because they're talking about staff's dating failures. What in? Oh, man. And don't think this is a one-off. Like, don't think, Bay Area mom is just in an especially, lame setting. Like, this is what young academic. He said, man, when they found out I didn't want to date some of these other white teachers, oh man, they came down on a privileged black brother like you wouldn't believe. And we had black male guest on the program. He talked about his dissertation dealing with black male educators. He said half of the black male participants that he interviewed for his study reported some form of sexual abuse in the workplace. Let's go out on a date. Or mad. You ain't trying to hook up and date and all that. What's wrong with you, Leroy? Half. But it was important because it was such a high volume, and equally important because he left that out of his dissertation. He said you can't include everything in the report. It was already long. It was hundreds of pages and blah, blah, blah. And so I left that part out. And I said, dang, but half of the participants, like this was not the same thing I just said. This wasn't an anomaly. Half of the participants said that sexual abuse in the workplace, the school, was a problem. when you play around with sex, this is the environment that your child ends up in. So maybe they're taking care of his needs. Maybe they got that new cute geometry teacher down the hall. Do some Pythagorean theorems. Worthy of tremendous pity. Oh, man, I can't even get it together. Anyway, our educator of the week, she said that she gets written up so much. We remember you getting written up for misgendering. See? Then they say she's being rude. See? Bringing up policy and procedure, that sort of thing. Being rude. So I have a difficult time saying things. That is an accusation that you can just expect as well. Prepare for. If you're classified as black, you are going to be rude, surly, grumpy, angry, all of the above, maybe many times a day, maybe even from other people who are classified as non-white. And I think she works with a lot of people who are not white, so, whatever. I would, if I'm being bitten by students, co-workers, whatever the case, delectable Negro, I would definitely have some policy and procedure questions there, and maybe even medical needs, depending on the severity of the bite. But I mean, dang, if that's the population of students that we work with, like, come on, we have so many more, like, major priorities. Jesus Christ, safety. Like, before we get to happy hour and we're going to do some speed dating, man, can we make sure the safety plan, I mean, hey, that cute new geometry teacher, I bet he look a lot less cute if he gets bitten and he got to go get a tetanus shot. Maybe we could work on the safety plan so that we can all go home, have all our fingers, toes, don't need no medical visits. We can keep that to a minimum. How about that? How about, hey, we could, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, genius, she said more, at this point, a dozen years ago. She said, all these little iPhones and iPads and little tiny itty bitty screens and such, just getting people totally addicted, particularly children, getting them addicted. She said that all those years ago. What did she say? Got little Leroy, and she had told us before, this has been a long going problem, where they will just give him the iPad or what have you, and boop, sit him down, and there you go, Leroy. You have at it for 6 hours and just do what you do. And she, Bay Area mom, said, whoa, wait a minute. Now, you all know, you went to school and have seen that, or you should have. Like, come on. That is not the best for Leroy or any child to just be sitting there, the iPad all day long. And a lot of these students got special needs and everything. Like, come on now. At least, at minimum, let's be judicious. Let's have some discretion where they don't just have it all day long, or they can't just have it whenever they feel like it willy-nilly. Like, maybe you get, or maybe you earn a certain amount of time with it, per day. Maybe you can get an hour, 30 minutes, whatever it is. If your behavior, you have certain goals, whatever, you get time or whatever. But I mean, it can't just be you just get your iPad and we just iPadding all day long. And if I don't get my iPad, I just throws a tantrum. And I guess normally you get your iPad. Nobody cares. Bay Area mom, and we'd heard this previously. Only one setting some structure. Hey, maybe it's not the best. Maybe we should try and do more in terms of an academic environment than just, there you go, here's iPhone for your next period. She's the only one that's trying to do some sort of structured learning. Anyways, I didn't get my iPad. Come on. And even you got staff that's so inattentive, they focused on the cute new geometry boy. Like, come on. Worthy of extraordinary pity. Whoopi, she got to be Educator of the Week. I think she's told us before about why she, does all this and the counter-racist labor of trying to help out these young black children that nobody cares about, even got some non-white, non-black children in there too, but all these young victims of racism that nobody cares about, even the other teachers, even the other non-white teachers do not care about them at all. Trying to get their freak on after work and what have you. You got these children right here, and just give them an iPad. We seen that new geometry teacher, man? Whoa. Like, man, everybody in the geometry class failing. Wow, we got all these teachers piled up at the door. They trying to... Woo, worthy of... I told you, I wrote it down about 15 times. Told you. Congratulations, Educator of the Week. I think that is great to, at least have folks. If you're going to have all this attention from folks who are going to be fussing at you, and you done misgendered me, I told you stop calling me a he. Don't you do it no more. You misgendering me. If you can get all that attention and have people, fussing at you for that, then at least that's balanced a tad to come back. Well, hey, at least she does try to do a little structure and help the little fella get outside and encouraging him to be down with birds and help the other little fella do the recycling. And dang, I'm not just going to give the little fella an iPad because he's going to throw a tantrum so he can continue his addiction to technology. Like, come on. I can at least, she's not trying to date every teacher in the building. Whoopee for her. We'll shout out for her. All right, now we can get that cute geometry teacher back. And woohoo! Maybe he can be Educator of the Week next week. Worthy of great pity. Much obliged, Bay Area mom. Maybe they hope they get a raise. I'm being ignorant. Maybe they get a raise. You get Educator of the Week, you get a raise and a $5 Starbucks card, or $7 with inflation. $7 Starbucks card and a raise or a bonus and parking spot for the week. High hopes. Let's see. Soon, I don't know if we got everybody. You should get a hand up if you missed. Did we miss anybody? Commentary from other folks missed? Anything they wanted to add before we get ready to wrap up? Great. Assume we got everyone. We should be here Friday, tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And then again, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll review what has gone down the last 7 days. Nothing but tragedy in Milwaukee. Miss Scarborough, Sade Robinson's mother, she messaged me and shared that they had a shooting at a soccer game in Milwaukee. And I was stunned, like, what in the... What? And then she said she knew some of the folks who were at the games. Like, what? Jesus. And then I looked at the news report, and yep, they had to cancel the soccer game. Gunshots, breakout. I don't know if it was people who were in attendance or it was just something that was close to where the soccer game was happening. But even with all that said, with everything about Austin Metcalf down in Frisco, I think I've said repeatedly during all of this that, hey, they have shootings at the football game all the time. Now, I wasn't talking about soccer, but, hey, they have shootings at the football game in the United States all the time. And I meant, like, the high school football games all the time. They don't even have high school football games on Friday nights in the U.S. in many locations anymore because they have shootings and violence all the time. It's not even news to a certain degree. That's why I said the only thing about this was that this fatal violence, tragic, unnecessary, happened at a track event. That's a little odd. I'm not accustomed to that. But if it had been a football game, apparently even soccer. Well, that's every day. We do that on a random Monday night in Milwaukee. Get the busting a cap in somebody at the soccer game. So, woo, Milwaukee is the scariest place in the world. Dahmerland. We'll be here tomorrow. Abraham Bolden. Oh, my God. Man. I have to say so much I could say, but man. Abraham Bolden. The Echo from Dealey Plaza. flipping the Seattle International Film Festival 51st edition is in a couple of days. I said I did the festival incorrectly last year, which I did. I vowed this year I'm going to do the festival correctly, and have to, because I said last year, I was telling retired firefighter, he called in, he was telling us about Watt Stacks, and I said, this is not TV, same thing I said today, this is not the TV program. I said, the festival, like, Jesus, that's like work. You have to fill out like an application to go to the festival. Like, this is not just click. No, you have to get on and write quite a bit to get press credentials to go to the festival. And then even beyond that, like, whew. So last year was soundtrack to coup d'etat. This year, I said, I'm going to do this correctly. Part of doing this correctly, you get press credentials. You can screen most of the films in advance. That's what a lot of the journalists did last year. So you wouldn't have to wait until the festival starts. You could see it, watch it 2-3 times, and then go see it on the big screen with everybody else and ask questions and get your chocolate-covered popcorn. Whoopee. Doing it the correct way, you can get most of the films that you would like to see in advance if you have press credentials, and you can get a lot just films that you, oh, that looks interesting, that you had no plan of seeing, but the screen is available for people with press credentials. One of the films I had no intention of viewing. I nabbed it because I have press credentials. Suburban Fury. It's not even about what I thought it was. I thought this was going to be like some rich white people out shooting or methamphetamines, fentanyl, something. No. This movie is about one white woman who attempted to assassinate President Ford. I lost my mind. Once again, cows, the metronome. Why did that have more significance now? I'm going to have to even see if I can pull the frame back on it. Okay, this had so much more significance now, and at this very moment. Cal's Book Club, Abraham Bolden, tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Okay, so I'm pulling exactly, this is the first frame, literally, this is the first frame from Suburban Fury. It had, you talk about a film, you got 5 seconds to get me. Bam, you got me, 5 seconds, because we are reading Abraham Bolden, The Echo from Dealey Plaza, the first Negro secret servant agent. So what is the very first frame of Suburban Fury? Sarah Jane Moore was granted permission from the Secret Service to participate in this documentary. WTH. Whew. And this movie is all about San Francisco. I cannot get out of San Francisco. And it's the same time I thought Jim Jones might even be in this movie. And one of the Symbionese Liberation Army. I thought we were done talking about that. Nope. Symbionese Liberation Army returns. Sarah Jane Moore was an informant. The Secret Service had to give her permission to participate in all of this. And this white woman allegedly tried to assassinate President Ford. Woo! The double whammy for all of this. Now, why this had extra meaning at this moment, Echo from Dealey Plaza, Abraham Bolden, Secret Service, and all of that. I just heard Mae Brussell. She was talking about JFK assassination and all that. She just mentioned Sarah Jane Moore and this attempted assassination of President Ford in the 70s, which no one talks about. I'd never even heard before. She had just talked about this and connecting all of these JFK assassination, MLK. She had just talked about this, and I just didn't have a folder because I'd never heard about this case. And then whole 2-hour documentary And most of this film is about COINTELPRO. Whew. Wow. I could have fell in a film I didn't hear about, I wasn't going to watch, didn't even care about, but man, press credentials are nice to get for the film festival. Now I might have to go watch this on the big screen. I didn't even... Echo from Abraham Bolden might be in this. I have to watch I didn't even get to see the whole thing. I have to watch the whole thing, see if Abraham Bolden is in this too. The Echo from Dealey Plaza, first Secret Service agent of the first Negro Secret Service agent, and then convicted and all that. I even thought, like, dang, President Obama didn't pardon Abraham, but that's fellow Chicagoan. He could have got that on his way out, right, into 2016. Like, that's kind of risky. You're helping out too many of these black people. We miss you, Obit. Not really. Not really. I do not miss you, Obeezy, because, wow, those were not fun. I do not miss you, President Obama. Hope you live long, and right on, First Lady, and Sasha, Malia, right on, everybody. But I do not miss President Obama. And then he came out and it was all, you nigger males and you misogynistic, you want something. I do not miss President Obama. The problem is white people. Sobriety would be best. No fentanyl, methamphetamine, no cigarettes. We need high-functioning brain computers to solve our problems. Maybe teach some classes. Creator, we ask that you help us maximize our time and energy to replace white supremacy with justice as soon as possible. Help me to stop wasting non-white people's time and energy, including my own. Minimize contact, minimize conflict, stop name-calling black people, stop being discourteous to black people, stop gossiping, stop producing throwaway offspring who get no lesson plans, only iPads, 'cause the staff is dating. Cute new geometry professor. Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. Problem. You're a victim. Yeah. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.